lives matter. Shot in the back, running or choked out to death on the corners. Mistake this stays before his sidearm, says the coroner. To the yellow journalist that won awards for writing facts for Worldwide Web press stories, always calling them black. Civil rights violated, here comes C1-7 and CIA and FBI agent, brethren felons with what Big Brother once heard. Most Moors are nerds and study more than if I'm on the road, no biting curbs. No threats of nooses, I'm fighting for survival. Making wars martyrs won't happen, calling us captain rival. Inquisitionists, governors, and secretaries of state got stateless on their tables like ribeye steak with no care, blood dripping. They eat blacks rare. Foreigners wearing 6-point badges, pretending they're heirs to the vastness of state Mugudi Balaksa. Stateless blood flow past a horse's brow, I swear it's agua. Demons thirst quench, stealing pioneers and organs. Psychiatry, death industry, to start selling black orphans and half-closed coffins, cause legs are missing, killing stateless people, cancer won't even see remission. More lives matter, but it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, cause it seems like black lives don't matter.
System, what system? Not gonna make myself no victim. Run down and kick them up, educate oneself and flip them. All of their titles or nationality strips them. Must grip reality in order to really grip them in this third-dimensional illusion. Organized chaos, confusion, stealing your attention. Mental intrusion, universal laws, declaration of the ancients. I self-law and master from the rooftops to the basements. Hoop deep to the spaceship, ever since all creations. Celestial foundations, ocean floor to the ranges, to the mountain tip, to the cosmic infinite. Basically, we are way above the shit. In other words, get in tune with spirit. Take a breath and accept. Mental polarity, gender, rhythm, correspondence, vibration, cause and effect.
More lives matter, but it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, but it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, cause it seems like black lives don't matter.
More lives matter, cause I sing it no sound off. It gets defected when rejected, put your mask off. Get my perspective on direct, keep to a replay. All the moves that on replay, till they wanna cast off. Bury them, on to the next one. Enough of them are gunning down. Dudes them a cast cross. Can't believe I told me that. Can't believe I caused cross. Trayvon, Michael Brown died for us to find cause. The afterlife visited the class prom. Who they really wanna see with the crown on high and the garbs on free? I am free and you no business but your land or your country to seek your inalienable rights. The insatiable delight of knowing thyself and bringing all injustice to light. But the fight is your plight, make your sight for the bright. I'm the mic in the night, foresight for you to realize that, huh?
More lives matter, but it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, cause it seems like black lives don't matter.
Islam to all Moors, southwest of Mecca, and the adjoining islands. I'm SetenRa, visiting Canaanland for who knows how many times now, but I've been itching to get to this seat right here, so I kicked Cujo out of it, and I won't speak to y'all today. So Islam, peace and love. I want to start off by reading something that I came across this morning. It says, man knocked unconscious with a wooden plank and a brick at a Cleveland temple. This story was written by Adam Faris. Adam is A-D-A-M. Faris is F-E-R-R-I-S-E. And you can reach him by email if you choose to at afaris@cleveland.com. That's A-F-E-R-R-I-S-E at Cleveland, CLEVEVELAND.com. That's the reporter who wrote this article. The article is troubling, but the story is troubling as well. And the prophet said that one of the most important things that we needed was a press, our press. Press is not fully functional the way it should be. Later, but this is from their press, and this is how they write about us in the news. It says, Cleveland, Ohio, a 26-year-old man attacked two brothers who went to a temple to pray, leaving one of the brothers bleeding and unconscious in the parking lot, police said. Folks L of Cleveland is charged with felonious assault in the city jail on $100,000 bond after his first court appearance on Monday. Two others who have not been identified by police also took part in the attack, police reports say. They attacked the two men in order to keep them from entering the Moorish National Church near East Street, according to court records. I'll read that again just in case somebody didn't hear me clearly. They attacked the two men in order to keep them from entering the Moorish National Church on Bartlett Avenue near East 131st Street, according to court records. The incident happened around 7:30 p.m. Friday as two brothers, ages 46 and ages 44, went to the temple for a meeting. Earlier they was going to pray, then they was going to a meeting. Brother, right? The 46-year-old brother told police he had been going to the temple for some time and wanted to bring his brother to one of the meetings, according to police. L and another man walked up to the brothers as they approached the back door of the temple, according to police. Again, just in case I wasn't heard clearly. Folks L and another man walked up to the brothers as they approached the back door of the temple, according to police. I've been to quite a few temples. I've been to Cujo's temple countless times. So let me give honor and respect to Grand Sheik Cujo L and Canaanland Moors. Let me give honors and respect to Grand Sheik Nature Ill Bay, Asbury Park. Let me give honors and respect to brothers Carrie and Corey Linda Ill in Norfolk Territory. Let me give honors and respect to brother Kaim Rabe in the Lancaster Territory. And let me give honors and respect to the brother Kennick. Is it Kennick Bay or Kennick L? Forgive me. Kennick L. Kennick L. Forgive me, bro. That's so you know that I have totally nothing against the Moorish Science Temple of America for anybody who might have that going through their mind. I make peace with my family, peace with my brothers. Folks L ran in the front door and blocked it, police reports say. The brothers asked if they could knock on the door in order to clear up any issues Folks L had with the temple. Folks L ran in front of the door and blocked it, police reports say. The brothers asked if they could knock on the door in order to clear up any issues with the temple. Pay attention. An argument broke out and the group started fighting, police reports say. The 46-year-old man, I got one sheet. The 46-year-old man broke free and ran to get help. He flagged down a neighbor who called 911. Punched the 44-year-old brother, then picked up a 2.5-foot long wooden board and hit the 44-year-old man in the head, police said. The blow knocked the man to the ground. Hit the man several more times in the head with the board, then picked up a brick and hit him in the head, police said. That knocked the 44-year-old man unconscious. He remained unconscious until the police found him in the temple's parking lot. Told police that they saw Folks L walking in the neighborhood. Police arrested him and noted that he had fresh blood on his shoes from stomping the man in the head. He also had scratches on his upper body, police reports say. Folks L told police that he was protecting the temple, but the temple spokeswoman said on Monday they had no security at the temple. Folks L was not affiliated with the temple. 4-year-old man was taken to University Hospital in serious condition. His brother was taken to the same hospital to be treated for a broken hand. Police reports say, well, that's what police reports say. Both were later released from the hospital. If you'd like to comment on this story, visit Monday's Crime and Courts comment section, and it says to write or leave a comment. The one thing I want to point out is this, is that when people hear about us in the media, when people hear about us in the news, it's always something like this. This is what they're going to write about. Vitally important for us to put out our own information, to have our own media, to have our own news, to have our own literature, our own papers. And initially, some years back, when I joined the Facebook family, I was thinking, all right, cool. This will be a place to spread some information, to share some information, to get some things going, to connect with some people and to link with some people. And it turned out to be like a big high school. You know what I'm saying? A bunch of jealous people, a bunch of people arguing, a bunch of people fussing and fighting and calling names and pointing fingers. Then the same thing that this reporter, Adam Faris, did is the same thing that we do to each other. You got to see that. You got to be able to understand that. You got to be able to accept that and embrace that. Because until then, when you accept it, you can just forget about us moving forward and uplifting fallen humanity. It's us that's holding us down. We see stories like this, and I don't know what happened in Cleveland. I wasn't there that night. I'm not even going to begin to say I know what happened, but what I do know is that story is full of riffraff. The Moorish National Church, no security on the door. Brothers going to the back door for entry. Who goes to the back door of a temple for entry? This ain't the 60s. We ain't in Tennessee. Who's going to the back door of a temple? I have yet to go to the back door of a temple for entry. Yet. You're at the temple. It's Friday night. It's Sunday. It's muftis on the door. Now, whether this brother had affiliation or not, or whatever was going on, we don't know. I'm not in Cleveland. Whoever's in Cleveland, you may be able to speak on the situation. I can't. But the point that I'm making is this is what's in the media about us. This is what's in the media about us. I came up here, of course, just to hang out with the fam and attend the temple cookout. It's the third one in a row. And just to build with the family, man. This is my family right here in Canaanland. That's why I'm always here. Want to talk about a couple things. The most important thing that I wanted to mention is that people who know me, people who recognize me, you know I'm from the Philadelphia territory. And you know I have strong ties with Taj Tariq Bey, with Abdullah Il-Talib Mosi Bey, and Ms. Raim Al-Afel. That's my family. That's who I came in under. That's who I learned under. And that's my family, regardless of how anybody feels about it. At this particular time, none of us are members of a Moorish Science Temple. I'm here in Canaanland. Grand Sheik Cujo sitting right over there. I ain't do nothing to him, yo. I'm here at the temple. You understand? So there's no beef, there's no issue, there's no nothing. Heart when it comes to the temple. There's no animosity in my heart when it comes to the temple. Keep in mind that the prophet started the temples to uplift, to remind you who have forgotten who you were because you were busy chasing after somebody else. You lost your identity. Sent to give you back that identity. The prophet was sent to give you back that identity of Moorish nationality. I'll point this out. I was invited to a temple in the Philadelphia territory. I won't say which one, and I won't mention the Grand Sheik's name because it's not relevant. I was told that the Grand Sheik wanted me to come to discuss unity. So I got excited. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, bet. So I went over there and Taj Tariq Bey accompanied me. When we got there, they didn't want to talk about unity. It was hostility. And the hostility was over people coming to the York House in the Philadelphia territory where I do classes on nationality, birthright, law, civics, whatever we do it on. Whatever the spirit tells me to talk about and feed the people, that's what I feed them. The issue was that people were coming to my class at the York House, and people were going to the House of Reawakening Minds in the Wilmington, Delaware territory, where Taj Tariq Bey does classes on the first and third Friday, and Ras Mariah on the fourth Friday, and Abdullah Iltili Mosi Bey on the second Friday. That people were coming to the classes as opposed to coming to the temple. They said the temple doors are open, and we got a problem with people coming opposed to coming to the temple. And my question was this, and I pose this question to anybody watching who might want to answer. Have a place to go and learn about their nationality and birthright, the truth about their nationality and birthright. What difference does it make where they go to learn it? Because the Moorish Divine and National Movement is an umbrella. Same umbrella. None of us are getting wet in the rain. Getting wet in the rain. The movement of the world. So what difference does it make where they come to get information and the truth about their nationality and birthright? And they had a problem with that. He got hostile and raising his voice and swelling up his chest and all of that type of thing. And listen, man, I didn't come here for that. If you want to talk about unity, let's talk about unity. I don't want to argue about who goes where and why they go and when they go. That's a bunch of nonsense and it's irrelevant. If somebody asks me, I wouldn't care if somebody asks Cujo. I wouldn't care if somebody asks you. As long as you tell them the truth, staying in the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I don't have an issue with what you're saying at all. I got an issue with how you say it, because if you're not being truthful, then you're letting down yourself and you're letting down whoever you're giving information to. I want to put that out there and just to let people know, listen, I have no issue with anybody in any temple. Well, I'll put it like this. I don't have an issue with any temples. That's not uplifting fallen humanity. That's not trying to get their people to government like the prophet instructed. I do have an issue with that. I ain't going to fight with you, but I will make it known I do have an issue with that. If we're supposed to be living peace, freedom, and justice and staying in harmony with the prophet's principles, with the prophet's literature, he said, and a lot of people out here not doing what he said. I wanted to mention was two. Taj Tariq Bey was called the Moorish Order of the Round Table. In the round table, Taj held classes 3 days a week at his house. Many people came out of those classes. Obviously, I wasn't around in 1982. I was like 6, so I wasn't at the classes. Later on, in 2010, I came in contact with Taj Tariq Bey, Abdullah Iltili Mosi Bey, Ras Mariah Bey, and Ms. Raim Aleph El. My very first class, my very first meeting, the 4 of them were there. And I got a hell of an introduction. Over the course of time, into the Moorish Order of the Round Table, people became members. People started to get information. People started to know themselves, and they started doing what they wanted to do. And haywire, yeah. And the sad part is, it seems like that happens with us. They get a little bit of notoriety, and they just go haywire. They want to do what they want to do. They want to say what they want to say, and they want to be how they want to be. So I won't even say that's only amongst us. That's just amongst people. With anybody else at this moment. I'm talking about Asiatics. I'm talking about Moorish Americans. I'm talking about the Al Moroccans on this land. West, Southwest, and the adjoining islands. When it comes to us, we got issues with power. We got issues with who's in charge. We got issues with all this other stuff. Listen, one thing about me is I don't need my name in lights. I don't need for everybody to know, all right, where I am, my name. It's not important. The only thing I care about is getting this work done and talking to these people. Constitutional form of government, teaching them the truth about their nationality and birthright. So what I did, I sat down with Taj Tariq Bey to bring back the Moorish Order of the Round Table. his blessings to bring back that Juro society in the Philadelphia territory at this particular time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the purpose or the mission statement for the Moors Order of the Round Table. Order of the Round Table is a Moorish nation institution which came into existence through active research and study of the works of Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Evolved out of ongoing history and culture classes which were held on a consistent and expanding basis by Bro Taj Tariq Bey. The Round Table was officially established in June of 1982 AD, Moorish calendar year. The Round Table is an active association of Moorish Americans, the indigenous and ancient Amexem, the land of Mu. In modern times, Amexem is called Northwest, Southwest, and Central Africa. In contemporary times, Amexem, South America, Central America, including the adjoining islands. American or Almoroccan continents and islands are the inherited lands of the Moors. Bound to these continents by heritage and birthright. These are the lands of our ancient Moor mothers and forefathers. Second, I'll read that last sentence, or the second to last sentence. Are bound to these by heritage and birthrights. For anyone catching this broadcast who has an issue with that statement, go to Rex 84 and read it. And you'll see in the document, not that I created or not that Cujo created, else, you'll see the document that was created by the de facto foreign occupational that flat out says that you know who the minority is. The minority will foe, for he is bound to the continent by heritage. You can research that. Go read the King Alfred Plan, Rex 84. Rex 84 is the code name. They gave it that code name because in 1984, it was amended to include the quote unquote Latino population by Ronald Reagan and Oliver North. And that it wasn't included is because when it was done in the late 60s, there was no Latinos or Hispanics, just niggas who spoke Spanish. Moors Order of the Round Table treats the issue of Moorish history, civics, science, law, heritage, descent, pedigree, and parentage, literature, etc. Uplifting fallen humanity requires expanding work in many areas. There is much work to do to perform a functional and positive part in this noble work. We are making constructive and applicable civic contributions to the nation. Response made to the world-renowned call made by Noble Drew Ali, founder of the Old Canaanite Temple in 1913 AD, 3 Moorish calendar year. The temple emerged as the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. Since 1928, the Moorish Holy Temple of Science has adopted as its corporate name the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Moorish movement is called the Moorish Divine and National Movement of the World. This was Prophet Ali's call in 1913 AD, 1333 Moorish calendar year. Come all ye Asiatics of America, truth about your nationality and your birthrights. Negro, black, colored, learn of your forefathers' ancient and divine creed, that you may learn to love instead of hate. So it's back. It's very powerful and very important. I'll read it again. Prophet Ali's call in 1913 AD, Moorish calendar year. Come all ye Asiatics of America and hear the truth about your nationality and your birthrights. Colored or Ethiopian, forefathers' ancient and divine creed, love instead of hate. So back with the families of nations. About this paragraph a little bit. Come all ye Asiatics of America. Let's be abundantly clear. I was It was last Saturday, and we were talking about America. Question to everybody there: America. What constitutes North America? And of course, I wasn't in the North wherever I am now, and I wanted to see to geography, right? Because I'm in North America right now. Left, I just came a little further north, across the state line. That's it. When I asked about North America, referenced and was called the corporate United States. Mind Canaanland. Never mind the land all the way up called Alaska. But if you Google, everybody has these smartphones, America, and see how vast the land is. See, doesn't it stretch all the way up to Greenland? Right? Geography. Nobody associates with North America. In fact, if you look at a map, you can look at a map of America. That means North, Central, and South, and the islands. America, South, and America are together. When you look at North America, North is up here in Canaanland, above border, or the state line, which I like to call it, is all the way down in the middle of the corporate United States. That's how they separate. That's how mentally, when you see that, you automatically separate the rest of America, the rest of North America. North. Even they even say that. They say we the North. You watch a Toronto Raptors game, and that's what they got them towels flying around saying we the North. Right here where I am in Toronto, Ontario territory, we are North, but being way up in Barrie, Ontario a couple years ago, and Assistant Grand Chief Omar laughed at me and said, way up. So you can still drive 24 hours. This land is vast. Come all you Asiatics of America and South. So America, we're talking about Peru. We're talking about Brazil. We're talking about Colombia. We're talking about Haiti. We're talking about Belize. We're talking all of this land in between there. The reason I stopped and the reason I'm expounding on this is because you have Asiatics, a whole lot of Moors running around saying, you can't be a Moor. How are we going to go to the people who know themselves as Moros, as Moriscos, as Morenos, as Maroons, and tell them that they're not Moors because they don't go to temples? They ain't the ones arguing and fussing and fighting about it. We are. Here in the North, they ain't fussing about it down there. If you think there are a lot of Moors, go to Brazil, right? And the reason I say that is this: the highest concentration of melanated people, of Moors on the planet, is in Congo, in Zaire. The highest concentration of Moors is in Brazil. Not here, not on this land that we're in. But when you see on TV, they show you all the light-skinned people. What is that? They want you to disassociate. They want you to see a Brazilian as that light-skinned brother and not the brother that looks like me, that looks like Cujo, that looks like you. Should become Moors. Yeah, I'm waiting for an answer. Because they just are. In Canaanland. I love to be amongst these guys, these temple Moors, because y'all like to separate us, right? Just like you like to separate Brazilians and you like to separate us. In fact, I was in a meeting a couple weeks ago, and himself pointed to his chest and said temple Moors, and then he pointed to us and actually called us street Moors. What the hell is that? But I ain't mad, and I wasn't mad. That say street Moor. While I'm out cleaning up the street, that's one of the things we do in Moors Order the Round Table, and we clean up the streets. clean up neighborhoods, on feeding the homeless, community stuff. We got plans on going to town hall meetings. Know that we're peaceful people, that we're not sovereign citizens out here, and that's a European movement. That's an Albion movement. We're not these sovereign citizens out here that want to argue and fuss and fight and shoot down police. We come in peace. We honor the 5 principles: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And we demand respect. You can't demand respect if you want to be arguing and being irate and arguing and cursing. Now, if you're in a situation and you got to do what you got to do, then by all means, do what you got to do. Always try to keep a cool head. Yourself, speak for you. You got 2 selves. We know that. Higher self and lower self. It's right here. The higher self and the lower self. But keep in mind, you can't have one without the other. You want to stay in your higher self, but you need the lower self. You can't, without the lower self, you don't know higher self. Without hot, you don't know cold. Without day, you don't know night. There's duality in everything. There's actually called us street Moors. I see no distinction in myself and Cujo. None. He's the Grand Sheik of a temple. When I met him in August 2013, it was real talk. It was like I knew this dude. Like he got in the vehicle and we headed over to the temple and we just started talking like I picked him up like I knew him already. I met the brother. Went over to the temple, chopped it up, laughed and joked, and then we stayed in touch. Would you like to be a part of Noble Drew Ali Day? And I'm like, well, hell yeah, why not? And he said, well, you want to Skype? And I was like, nah. Went back. And I came back to Canaanland. And I don't know how many times I've been here since. I've been here 3 times in this calendar year of 2017. This is my 3rd time here. 3rd time. So obviously I have no beef with the temple. Obviously I see no distinction in me, him, the assistant Grand Sheik Omar, the treasurer, brother Amari, and anybody else who's in the temple. I have no problem with. Those are my brothers. That's my family. That's how we need to start acting like family. We got to put all this nonsense aside. Who's in the temple, who's not in the temple. If we're uplifting fallen humanity, if we're staying within them 5 principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, up. Grand body. Okay, cool. Let me read you something. I'm going here. Move it closer just in case people can't see. Something. Number 11. Where was Noble Drew Ali born? North Carolina, 1886. Moorish American. That's question number 12. Question number 9. What year was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded? In 1913 AD, the Old Canaanite Temple was founded. Is anybody out there trying to tell me that until the Old Canaanite Temple was founded, colored in black, he founded the temple, that he wasn't Moorish American? Wasn't who he was until then? Because if you are, then I'd like for you to go in the chat, because Cujo got the chat up over there. Go in the chat and tell me where Chinese people go to become Chinese. Tell me where Russians come to become Russians. I'll wait. They just are. Just like Prophet Noble Drew Ali just was. He was chosen by Allah to bring that message back to us. He said in his own literature, this is a universal movement. This is a universal message. But I came to you because you needed me the most. The most. 13, now it's 2017. That's a long time, Fat. 104 years. And we still haven't gotten the principles down. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, listen, the half hasn't even been told. told. It hasn't even been told. Imagine if the full thing was told. Imagine if people really had for having that information and keeping it a secret. Like what's been going on for so many years, keeping it a secret. Nothing a secret. What I learn, I teach. If you can handle it, you can handle it. If you can't, you can't. Islam, Sheldon. Peace and love, bro. That's another Canaanland Moor. That's my man. Cooling with him last night. We got to keep in mind, y'all, we are all Moors. The only people arguing about it, the only people who in fact, if you haven't been doing it, or you're not really accustomed to it, wear your fez out. Wear it out in public. Sisters, wear your turbans. Brothers, you can wear turbans as well, but wear your fez and see the reaction you get from people from that so-called Middle East. Wear your fez and let them brothers see you with your fez on. But make sure you can respond properly when they talk to you, because they're going to ask you where you're from. Or they might say, nice hat. But wear your fez and see the response that you get. See how many people know who you are. A fez is totally different than wearing a baseball hat with it turned to the back. When you got a baseball hat on with it turned to the back, they looking at you as a nigger. Believe it. When you got a fez on, it's a whole different respect when they see you. And if anybody's wondering why I got on this green fez, I got on this green fez because this fez was presented to me at Noble Drew Ali Day this past January by the Canaanland Moors, by Grand Sheikh Kujo Abou and Assistant Grand Sheikh Omar Sharif Bey. And I only wear it when I'm here. I'll only wear it when I'm here because it was given to me here out of respect and thanks and gratitude. I read the mission statement of the Moors Order of the Round Table. Like I said, the one thing we want to focus on more than anything is uplifting fallen humanity. What does that mean? And how are we going to uplift fallen humanity? By teaching people the truth about their nationality and birthrights. Just like the prophet said right here, come ye Asiatics, truth about your nationality and birthrights. Colored, black, or Ethiopian. Let's talk about those words for a second. Because we got a lot of people who argue with us about black. We got a lot of people who argue with us about a label that's been put on us and given us a certain type of status. I want everybody to do this. Somebody find a picture, the Jim Crow era, of a water fountain that says black water fountain. A picture from the Jim Crow era of a bathroom where it was posted black bathroom. From the Jim Crow era where it posted black entrance. See it say colored. Are you going to see it say colored? Somebody go back and listen to some of Martin King's speeches and tell me how many times you hear him say black. Go to Shabazz and tell me how many times you hear him say black, or what they say in Negro. Martin King's assassination after James Brown performed I'm Black and I'm Proud down at Boston at that concert. Tell me how many times you heard black prior to April 4, 1968. And then fast forward to somewhere around what, 82, 83, when Jesse Jackson coined. We get a different moniker every 30 or 40 years. But I understand why we latched on to black. When you heard that song got you riled up. Even though we know we're not black, and even though we don't identify with black, when that song comes on, you still get a certain feeling in your bones. I know you do. And we get a different moniker. Moor is not a moniker. Moors are who we are, the descendants of the ancient Moabites. The original inhabitants of this land. Just last night, there was an Albion over at a place we were at. And he said, it's a gang of us in the back with fezzes on. So one of the other brothers responded, it's not a hat, it's a fez. So the Albion says, I know. So see, real talk. So they started telling him, I'm sitting there quiet, right? Because I'm like, all right, I ain't about to go in on this dude. But after they explained to him about the fez and what the fez is, that it's our national headdress, that it's a religious headdress, he still had more questions. Well, why are y'all wearing them? So then I said, all right, well, apparently he wants to know to see if we know, or he's just being nosy. So I went in on him. I told him all about us. I told him all about all of the artifacts and pyramid and mound structures all up and down in Mississippi. I told him all about all the stuff that's down in Mexico, pyramids, what's over in Teotihuacan, because he just couldn't believe that Egyptians came all the way from over there, all the way over here. He said that was entirely too far for them to travel, but it was cool for Colombo, right? Wasn't too far for him. I told him about Teotihuacan over there in Mexico City. That's the city known as the city the Egyptians built. We ain't talking a couple hundred years ago, y'all. We talking 3,000, 5,000, 7,000, 8,000 years ago. Land. Right. Now he could have been playing dumb, or maybe he just didn't know. I made sure that he had something to think about on his ride home. Absolutely. He didn't sit there and necessarily question me or question us about anything we were saying. But our own brothers and sisters want to fight. You want to put your dukes up. You want to put your hands up and argue about something as trivial as us being called black. He understood. He knows that he ain't white. He knows what his heritage is, whether it's Irish, whether it's modern British, whatever it is, he knows. You want to argue and fuss and fight about being called Negro, black, and colored. Go find me them pictures. You can email it to Cujo, or you can email it to me at AskFezProv. That's ASKFEZ @gmail.com. ASKPROV. I'm sorry, ASKFEZPROV @gmail.com. If you can find a picture that says black water fountain without photoshopping it, let me see it. You know what else I gave that European brother? Him that how I go and all around, currently known as North America. And I told him that I have yet to see a statue of a so-called Indian that dates more than 150 to 200 years. Not yet. Not in Mexico, not in Northwest. Listen, I went down to Poverty Point Park in Louisiana. Nothing but artifacts that look like me. Nothing. And even the Asiatic that was working in the gift shop asked me if I was one of them people. And I'm like, one of what people? Of course, I know who he's talking about. You know, they come down here every year. They wear those hats. You talking about Moors? He's talking about Washington. I said, yeah, I'm one of them. I said, as you are too. No, not me. I'm a Christian. Yeah, what does you being Christian have to do with your Moorish nationality? Absolutely nothing. Nothing. There are plenty of people who know their signs. There are plenty of people who know the truth about their nationality and birthright, and they still like to go to church. Put it up to Jesus. And so what? That's on you. Do it, then by all means. If you want to go to the mosque and pray, if you want to go wherever you want to go, then by all means go. But still understand who you are. You're still a Moor. When you call yourself black, it's cool to go to church. It's cool to, you know what I'm saying? That's our nationality, black. If that's who we are, then why is it cool for everybody to do what they want to do then? Mind that the prophet said, if you do nothing else, declare and proclaim your nationality. The prophet didn't say you had to be a rebel like me. The prophet didn't say you had to be a rebel like Cujo. They're doing what we do. You can proclaim and declare your nationality and stay quiet as kept. That you do it. What's important is that they understand that we know that we ain't Negro, colored, and black. That we ain't no longer these wards of state. That we are no longer quote unquote Christian property. That's what's important. To worry about what grand body they belong to. If they want to go to church, then so what? Who cares? Issues. You're not honoring the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Because you're supposed to love your brother, not hate. You were taught to love instead of hate. Get the hate out of your heart. Get the animosity out of your heart about what grand body somebody belongs to. You should be happy that they know that they're not Negro, colored, and black. On that too, since we're here, Negro, colored, and black. For all of you out there who talk about how much you study and how much gnosis you have and how much intelligence, look, you can read this, and just so y'all know, these ain't Cujo's books, these are mine. These are my books. I bought them with me. Just because you're reading this, this is Cujo's, mine is in the bag. Didn't make sense to pull mine out. Just because you're reading all of that means what? Saying black and white. If you can't correct your language, then that means you can't correct your thinking. A week ago, a young brother asked me, I'm like, you know, he said, I can't stop saying it, man. It's just too hard to stop saying nigga. I was like, really? He said, yeah. So I said, well, come here for a second. I called him up to two elder mothers. And I said, talk grimy to me right here in front of them. I'm not doing that. I said, well, why not? He said, come on, man. I said, no, come on, what? You said it's hard to stop doing something. So talk grimy to me right here in front of these mothers. He wouldn't do it. Me to stop doing something like that, to stop saying something. Man, if it was just me and you, we was outside, then I'd say whatever. But why? Why is it that easy for you to just go right back? Right? We talking about vision. Didn't you say that in one of your tracks? Can we talking about constant mind elevation? We're not talking about just proclaiming your nationality and being an idiot. About constant mind elevation. That's small, y'all. I'm saying black and white. It's not difficult to understand who you are. You say, claim my nationality, and you still refer to people as black and white. Mirror, look into your own eyes. Look into the windows of your soul. Yourself. You're disrespecting your mother. You're disrespecting your grandmother, your great-grandmother. You wouldn't allow nobody else to do it, so why you do it? I said to the brother, talk grimy in front of me. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. We got to correct our literature. We correct our literature. In fact, let's talk about spoken power. Let's talk about the power in words. The power in the words we speak. When you see that your body is somewhere between 70 to 80% water, and you got to know that water holds more memory than anything. Your body remembers, your body hears, your body absorbs. The universe hears, the universe absorbs. And you talking about your brothers, whether you hating on Cujo, whether you hating on Taj, whether you hating on me being a street Moor, that's what the brother called me. Whether you hating on RV Bay Publications, you hating on the temple, whatever. The universe hears that. Hears that. Now, that's what the universe is going to send back. And you wonder why we can't get along. You say it. Your body embraces it. Your body holds on to it. If you sit around and say, man, I'm having a lousy day, you don't expect your day to get better. But if you don't think positive affirmations are real, try it. Some 3x5 cards, post them around the house. And walk around and just positive affirmations. Get rid of that negative thought when it comes to yourself. Get rid of that negative thought when it comes to your brother. Get rid of that negative thought when it comes to your sister. Get rid of the negative thought when it comes to the Albion. You ain't got to think bad about him. He shows you who he is. One of the elders, one of my teachers, don't get mad at a dog for barking. Understand that spoken word is powerful. Understand that. The same way you can say something to a specific person, just hurt their heart and make them cry. That's how powerful words are. The face. Some people been hit in the head with baseball bats and they ain't cry. Angry, they might have tried to fight back. Hurt worse than any bullets, than any knives, than anything else you can pull to harm an individual. Words. Now, if you don't think that consistently saying black embraced by the universe, be out of your mind. Don't think saying black. If you don't think saying black is that powerful, you're crazy. Tongues, Moorish literature, number 23. Friday, February 1st, 1929. Things in the world, you're right, this was fun about the human tongue. It's the truth. One of the most, and see, the reason I said it's fun is because I'm a nerd. I enjoy learning, I enjoy reading. And I embrace this literature. One of the most difficult things in this world to get control of is the human tongue. Truer than when he wrote that. Most, if he'll only hold his tongue. You set your tongue to action. A single tongue can do more harm in the world than a battalion of soldiers. For soldiers can kill but bodies, while the tongue can kill but reputations and character. It is too bad that we have no laws to curb tongues from lying and scandalizing. You all have read the story of Iago and one of Shakespeare's plays, when he powerfully pictured in the character of Iago the terrible consequences following evil tongue. Not only, that ain't Iago. I'm tripping, forgive me. Forgive me. I'm guessing that's Iago. However they say my man's name, Iago. Not only destroyed the reputation of a pure character of Desdemona, but he finally, through Othello, killed her body. That's why I say compel your tongue to speak helpful messages, or else keep it still. Make it a rule of your life to use your tongue for higher purposes only. Resolve to speak of man or woman of no other way unless you speak of good qualities of man or woman. Happiness out of injuring the feelings or character of someone else. No one ever failed to get happiness by speaking well of other people. So learn as if you were to live forever. Live as if you were to die tomorrow. A lot of people still ain't going to embrace that. I flag that. A lot of people still going to have a vicious and slanderous and lewd tongue. As my face has been around a little while, a couple years, couple videos on YouTube, couple lectures here and there. You'll never hear me talking ill about nobody. Even when people come at me, whatever. Big bro, he different. He'll grind you up. Big bro's different. He'll grind you up. But Cujo is not the type to just attack people. Cujo responds. He's provoked. Cujo responds when he sees people attacking people he cares about. I respond too. I just respond differently sometimes. But keep in mind, what you speak is heard by the universe. What you speak is heard by other people. What you speak is more importantly heard by you. What you gotta do is do one of those experiments. Get a jar of water. Talk grimy to one jar of water. Talk grimy to the other jar of water. And talk pure love to the other jar of water. See the difference. You can look at the water, you can see the difference. I would tell you to do it with a plant, but I don't want you to kill a plant because that plant has a right to live just like you do. And we need those plants. The throat chakra, the fifth chakra, the blue chakra. When you meditate, focus on that chakra. When you're doing your breathing, focus on that chakra. That's if you got issues with that tongue. That's if you can't hold your tongue. That's if you can't Stop saying certain things. Focus on that and work on it. It's not difficult. Believe me, people. We're capable of doing way more than we think we can. You remember that movie Lucy? They did the little experiment. They put that stuff in her and it leaked out. And then she just started getting smarter and smarter and smarter. These books are. You get them inside of you and they leak out and you just start getting smarter and smarter and smarter. When you start to read, understand, and comprehend the literature that was left behind, not only by Prophet Noble Drew Ali, but about everybody who's left information behind for you to learn from. Learn to eat the fish and spit out the bones. Don't get stuck reading the Moorish literature. Don't get stuck reading the Circle 7 Holy Quran. Don't get stuck reading the 101s. Right? Because if you do, then you just stay stuck in one paradigm. You know how vast Moorish science is? Do you know how vast our history is? Do you know how vast our culture is? If you read these books, you'll never read the 6 or 7 books that Cujo's wrote. 7? Something like 6, 7 books. You'll never read his books. You'll never read any other books that any other Asiatic has written because you stay stuck in those. Stay grounded in those. Understand what I'm saying? Stay grounded in those. Don't stay stuck in them. I say it again. Stay grounded in those. When I first got this book, and I saw Jesus, and I'm like, whoa, and I chucked it. It was about 2 years later when I picked it back up and I was able to fully understand and comprehend what I was seeing. I'm like, whoa, lessons right here. And I seen how much they applied. So I started teaching out of it. I started sharing lessons out of it. It's vitally important that you stay grounded in this literature here. I want to address some comments that was made by an elder. And because of the respect that I have for the brother, I ain't going to mention his name because I don't want him to be attacked. He made some comments about sovereignty. He was doing a lecture and I was there. I didn't make a fuss about it because I don't proclaim to be sovereign. I am sovereign to this land, but that's not what I proclaim. I proclaim my nationality. Everybody is sovereign to somewhere. People that's Irish, they sovereign to Ireland. Japanese, they sovereign to Japan. I'm sovereign to this land. There's no need to say it. Once I proclaim and declare my nationality. But one thing that he said was this: how can you say you're sovereign and you have no heads of state to represent you in world affairs? And when he said it, I just sat there and I was like, Now this individual claims to be sovereign. I forget which tribe that he did paperwork under, but he also claims to be sovereign. But he posed this, and let me be clear. He was talking about Moors, right? I can hear it very well, and I can read between the lines just like it's a regular word on the line. He was talking about Moors. How can you say you're sovereign and have no heads of state to represent you in world affairs? About that. I want all Grand Sheiks that might come across this, any assistant Grand Sheiks that come across this, any chairman, anybody that's a part of the grand body. Think about it. Seriously, think about it. How can you say you're sovereign and you have no schools for your children to go to learn to be themselves and not in the images of what they see on TV? Part of it. He said, how can you say you're sovereign and you have no schools for your children? And I put to go and learn to be themselves, because that's what the prophet said, right? By teaching us to be ourselves. How did he uplift all in humanity? Right. And not the images of what they see on television. You know how many people got in their mind, I want to be what I see on TV? Right. Imagine if it was no NBA. Imagine if it was no NFL. Imagine if it was no Major League Baseball. Imagine if it was no MMA or no boxing. Right. Imagine if it was just educational programs on television. Right. We'd probably take over NASA. Right. Because astrology and astronomy are things that we were once very, very familiar with. Right. You can't plant without knowing astronomy. You want to know why we have fixed marriages? Because of astrology. The fire sign and the water sign shouldn't marry. Right? We need our own schools so we can teach our children correct. They need to know the truth about their nationality and birthright. They need to be taught correct mathematics. They need to be taught correct geography. They need to be taught correct science. Y'all thinking about that? Or y'all busy wanting to argue with Cujo about the flavor of the week? Y'all busy saying, yeah, you are a street Moor. I'm seriously asking. I'm seriously talking to y'all, my family. You asking these questions? Brother Umar Johnson said he needed a few million to open up a school, right? Give me about 10,000 notes and see what happened. Real talk. See what happened. See what happens. A few million? We don't need that. We don't need that. I mentioned earlier, Grand Sheik Kaim Rabe. He domiciles out in the Lancaster territory down in Pennsylvania. Where he domiciles at, that's where the Dutch people are. They're Amish people, right? You go out there, they got a schoolhouse. It's like 1 or 2 rooms. They don't send their children to the public schools. They got a schoolhouse that they built, 1 room, 2 rooms, and all the children go to school. Some of y'all still celebrate Christmas. And depending on the reason you celebrate that holiday season, I don't have an issue with it. If you know about the harvest, if you know about the celebrations we had, if you know that they took the 12 days of Christmas, our ancestral stuff, then by all means, if you want to celebrate that season, celebrate it for the right reasons. But I know some of y'all still celebrate Christmas. I know some of y'all still breaking your bank, going out buying Christmas gifts. And for those of y'all who not, you know that our people do, to the tune of billions of notes every year. Billions of notes every year, right? Let's take a fraction of that Christmas bread and let's open up a couple buildings. Send these babies to school, right? Why? So you see pictures of the European, the militias. You see them out there, they teaching their little boys how to shoot, teaching their girls how to shoot, teaching them how to hunt, teaching them how to, and you say, man, they teach. Yeah, listen, them children can survive because if it ever hit the fan, they can take their rifle and they can go out and get some food. You keep sitting around and saying, well, they eating dairy meat and they eating, okay, when it hit the fan, you ain't gonna have a choice, so you're gonna starve. Because you don't even know what, when you go out in the woods, you don't even know what to pick up and eat. Children that stuff. What berries you gonna eat when you go out there? Do you know? You think it's blueberries in the middle of the woods? You think strawberries growing out there just because? There's plenty of vegetation out there, but you have no clue what it is. Do you know where to go and get clean water? We be teaching our children. I don't even have any children. I'm doing what I do for your children. I'm doing what I do so when your children get to the age that I've attained of 41 years, they won't have to be sitting around doing what I'm doing. Listening like you are to me and Cujo and everybody else and us listening to you. We can just be. We can just be. How many people know astronomy? How many people know agriculture? I was down in Fayetteville territory in the end of April this past year. And I love Fayetteville, that's the family. And I asked the family in North Carolina territory, how many of y'all know how to grow food? There's 30-some people in there and only like 4 people raised their hands, right? I said, how many of y'all know how to till the earth? And only like 3 of them raised their hands. I'm raised in Philadelphia territory, but I spent enough time in the South and my grandmother putting me to work, tilling dirt, picking watermelons, shit, out there in them fields, working. How is it that I'm from the North, where it's all industrial, where they grow and produce fruit, vegetation, and cotton, and everything else under the sun, and they don't know how to till the earth? But we busy arguing about what grand body somebody's a part of, instead of this grand body linking with these street Moors and coming together, because we all Moors are saying, let's get this damn work done. About silly stuff. Yeah, I said street Moors. The brother called us street Moors, and even though I didn't like it when he said it, I embraced it. Until you can recognize me for who I am, that's who I'm gonna be, a street Moor, because I don't belong to any temple. Of course, I'm an honorary member of Canaanland Moors, right? So Cujo decided to kick me out. But until you recognize me for being who I am, for being Moorish, for being Moorish American, for being a descendant of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the lands of Northwest, Southwest, and Central America, then I'm gonna continue to be called a street Moor. I might even do my classes at the York House that say street Moor, until you can appreciate your brothers and your sisters and stop all this idiotic stuff. Street Moors, temple Moors, Moors. The universal principle of love. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said we should learn to love instead of hate. Love is the very first principle. And without love in your heart, without love for self, because you got to remember that one comes before two in every language. So if you don't love you, you can't possibly love me, love Cujo, or your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, anybody else. One comes before two in every language. You need to learn self-love. Self-love before you can even attempt to love anyone or anything else. If you got love in your heart, then it wouldn't matter what grand body your brother was a part of. And like I said, that's the very first principle. Without love, you can forget about having truth or justice. That's why love is the first principle. It embodies all the rest. Learn to love yourself. Learn to be able to look into the mirror and look into your own eyes. If you can't look into your own eyes, you got issues. There's some things you need to address. There's some things you need to handle. The problem, the first step is admitting you have a problem. The second step is accepting you have a problem. And the third step is correcting it. It's not difficult. It's not hard. It's a matter of you being able to do it. The universal principle of love embodies everything. Everything. I watched National Geographic. They call it National Geographic Wild. I don't like to call animals wild because they just out living their life just like me. And they in their own habitat. They in their own, wherever they at. So I'm not going to call them wild. They just are, right? And there was a giraffe. There were two giraffes fighting over this female giraffe. And while they were fighting, the lions were sitting in the bushes and they was watching them. And they like, all right, sooner or later, these cats gonna get tired. And when they get tired, we getting one of them. Real talk. We getting one of them, right? So the giraffes finished fighting. All right, now, they go, one going this way, one going that way. So the lions like, cool. While they were fighting, they already formed a perimeter, right? They like, all right, so somebody getting it. One of us, three of them, somebody getting it, right? So they finished fighting. So they start giving chase. So the giraffe is going, and lion jumping on him, giraffe kick him, giraffe kicking lion in the head is curtains. So they kicking him and the giraffe runs off. Well, the lions were determined. They was like, nah, I'm hungry. So they caught up with him later. And they caught him and they ate him. And there was about 20 different lions eating this one giraffe, right? Now, when they got finished, the hyenas came. And don't worry about it. It's a point to the story. The hyenas came. The buzzards came. Well, the jackals came after the hyenas, and then the buzzards came. They cleaned up everything. Homes. When everybody split, all the lions, all the hyenas, all the jackals, all the buzzards or vultures, when they all split, those other giraffe, they came back. And what did they do? Turns sniffing the bones. Yeah, you hear what I'm saying? They were sniffing the remains of the other giraffe. And you could see that they were sad. They all came over and bent down and sniffed those remains. And they say we the highest form of animal. If that's not love embodied in their essence, then I don't know what is. They paid homage and respect to their fallen. If you're riding down the street and you know you're navigating wherever, and you might be on the highway and you see a deer on the side of the highway, you don't even think that deer somehow lost his life, whether he was hit by a car, whether he was shot, or whatever. You don't even care. Now, if you're riding down that same street, you're navigating through wherever, and you see a dude sitting there with no head and he's bleeding out, it's the worst thing in the world to you. It's the worst thing in the world to you. Think about that. And then think about you saying that you have love in your heart. You don't care if you see a deer dead. You don't care if you see a cat or a dog. Never mind their life. You think that these principles only apply when we're talking about each other. If you can't embrace love, the love of plants, the love of water, how you going to say that you come on, love yourself first and then love everything around us, because we ain't the only ones here, right? Imagine this. Imagine if you came back as a giraffe. Imagine that. Back as a deer and you was on the side of the road and nobody gave a damn that you have been slaughtered and killed and ran over. Universal principle of love. That's the first principle. The first principle. I love coming to Canaanland. I love Cujo like a brother. Cujo's real talk. Cujo's like one of the only people who can stay at my house. Not many people can, and I'll leave him. He can sit right there, he'll tell you. Go in the refrigerator, cook, eat, do whatever you want to do, no problem. That's the love that I have for my brother. But that's a bond that we formed. The grand sheik of a temple and a street Moor. Real talk. Real talk. I want y'all to see how asinine this is. For people who want to learn the truth about your nationality and birthright, learn it. If you're in the Philadelphia territory and you want to come to the York House, come on by and learn it. Delaware territory, and you want to go to the classes at the House of Reawakening Minds, then go ahead and learn it. Make sure the people that are teaching you are right and exact. That's your job. That's your due diligence. That's your due diligence. And let me say this for people who in temples who feel like your temple may not be right. And you know, it's your duty to unseat them. It's your duty. Share the people. You think a grand sheik is not an elected official? You think they just are? The people have to step up and do that. If the people overwhelmingly say, SetenRa, we don't want to hear from you no more, then by all means, I'm still going to be reading this. I'm still going to be reading this, and whatever else I got, my Black's Law Dictionary, my I'm still going to read. I'm still going to study and listen. If the people say we don't want to hear from you again, no problem. No problem. I still am who I am, and I'm going to continue to do what I do. If you don't learn to love your brothers, then forget about anything when it comes to anybody else and the way they look at us. If you think they're not seeing on Facebook all the nonsense, all the slander, all the lies, all the riffraff, if you think they don't see that, who Facebook is the CIA? You think they're not sitting around having a good time laughing and looking at that nonsense, man? Excuse me. Learn of your forefathers' ancient and divine creed, that you may learn to love instead of hate. Hateful people, y'all. That's not us. We're not a hateful people. We may be a hurt people. We may be a confused people. We may be a discombobulated people, but we're not a hateful people. We never have been. When the European came here, we embraced him. We taught him how to plant. We taught him how to grow. We taught him how to survive. They was eating raw meat back then, and they eat raw meat still. They are who they are. But we embraced them with love. We embraced them with open arms. It was them that stabbed us in the back. It wasn't us that stabbed them in the back. But now we stabbing each other in the back. We got people who like to promote slander and lewdness. Let's talk about the family at RV Bay Publications for a second. Roz Mariah V. Bay, Mother Anna Edel. So many people got an issue with RV Bay Publications, and for the life of me, I can't understand why. If you have a problem with anything that's on that website, stay off of it. If you have a problem with anything on that website, go amongst your people and teach them the truth about whatever you think is wrong on the website. But for those of you who enjoy the website, who love learning from a free online university, then by all means, go get all you can. You need to learn to eat the fish and spit out the bones. You take what you can get and you use it. You discard the rest. Fish, you don't just sit down and just eat the fish from the head to the tail. You're not going to sit there and chew on fish bones. You get rid of the bones because they're not useful. You discard it. It's not useful. But to sit around and make videos and sit around and make posts and to waste your energy and to waste your time to talk to people who really ain't going to listen, you're going to continue to use the site, whether you slander it, whether you talk crazy about it or not. There's plenty of useful information on the site. I've been using that site since 2010. I'm going to continue using the site. I will continue to use the site. I'm married. I have a wife. I like women. I don't like men. So I have no need to go to a homosexual club, right? I went to a homosexual club and was talking about, hey man, there's a faggot over there. There's another faggot over there. Hey, his pants too tight. Why he got on that YMCA jacket? That's ridiculous, right? Because they're going to be who they are. They're going to wear the YMCA jacket. They're going to do what they're going to do, regardless of what I say and how I feel. But it only makes sense that if I have an issue with it, if I don't agree with it, to stay away from it, to leave it alone. Homosexual club. No need for me to be there. So if you don't agree with what's on RV Bay Publications, don't even click on the site. Why are you wasting your time and your energy? We talked about your body being 70 to 80% water and holding memory. Why you want to get your water boiling? Why you want the teapot? Why you want the teapot whistling? Because you got an issue with what's on RV Bay Publication. Stay off of it. Don't that make sense? Stay off of it. And for those of you who have learned, continue to tell other people about it. Continue to spread the information, the wealth, and the knowledge, because that's true wealth. You can't get more rich than learning the truth about your nationality and birthright. If you think a little bit of paper, a little bit of finance is going to make you rich, if you think that's going to make you wealthy, then we know your concepts is all off. This is wealth. Me sitting right here in the hot seat, I've been waiting to get over here for a couple minutes, bro. This is wealth. Me being able to sit right here in the hot seat and do this and talk to y'all. That's wealth. When I came to Canaanland the first time, January, well, when I came to Canaanland to speak at Drew Ali Day the first time, January 2013, I said it before, I say it again. I was literally moved to tears. I almost cried. I couldn't believe the reception. I couldn't believe the way people embraced me. The only person I knew was Cujo. I couldn't believe how people embraced. Now I got 20 phone numbers. Now I can go to this house. I can go to that house. I don't even got to call Cujo when I come here. I call 10 other people. That's wealth. I ain't from here. I ain't from here. Not this territory anyway. But when I come here, I'm home. That's wealth. Real talk. That's wealth. When Cujo comes to the Philadelphia territory, that's wealth, y'all. All of these books you see behind me, all of these books, this table right here is laced with books. That's wealth. Finance comes and goes. Imagine this. If tomorrow the Federal Reserve say, yo, this stuff ain't no good no more, then you broke. But as long as you got this, you can stay wealthy. Pay yourself in these books. Feed your own heart with love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. If you can't accept your brothers and sisters for who they are, you might as well stay in a hole, stay in your little closet, and stay over there and just yell at yourself. And because people ain't listening, believe me. Believe me. They can say whatever they want to say about me. Call me street more, call me this, call me that, and call me whatever else. Won't make one bit of difference. Read it. Yeah. Islam family. I just had my first real demonstration with Border Patrol agents at an inspection station near Laredo, Texas. This will be the third time I went through there and challenged the narrative of status and citizenship. By the passing through there is, are you a U.S. citizen? The first time I said no. Person of African descent can be a U.S. citizen. I'm thinking that means can't be a U.S. citizen. I am an American citizen. I'll stop right there and I'll tell y'all, they don't like that. Ask me how I know.
How you know?
Listen, I'll finish reading this, but since she asked me how I know, I want to say 2 years ago, me and my brother Brandon were headed back across the state line. And question, what's your country of citizenship? And I said, America. Now, the reason they don't like that is because America's vast. We talked about that already. We're talking about the top of Greenland to the bottom of Peru. That's vast. They don't like that. They want you to be specific. They want you to say that you're either from, quote unquote, the corporate place called Canada, or they want you to say that you're from, quote unquote, the corporate place called the US. Not the United States. It's a difference. Those history and law lessons we be given that people be complaining about and saying we shouldn't be doing. It's a fundamental difference. I said I'm an American citizen. They passed me through. The second time I said no, I am an American citizen, which resulted in the agent questioning me further. U.S. citizen and an American citizen are the same thing. I corrected him by telling him that they are not, but I see why he would say that, seeing that he is wearing a uniform. Again, I was passed through the check station by Border Patrol agents. So let's address this right quick before we move on. A United States citizen and an American citizen are two different things. The United States is a corporate entity on paper. On paper, American citizen is that which I would say that I am, that Cujo would say that he is, a descendant of America, of Al-Marat. Not a citizen, not someone born here. Just because you're born here doesn't make you an American. If you're born in the corporate United States, the Naturalization Act, and that 14th Amendment, then that will make you a corporate U.S. citizen. Your nationality on the right. Fundamentally different. You ever watch the Olympics? You never see the American team, do you? You see the USA team. You never see the American team. You see the Cuban team. You see the Puerto Rican team. You see the Argentine team. You never see the American team. Argentina, Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, just all American states. And for anybody who want to question what I'm saying, write this down. OAS, the Organization of American States, and go Google it. Go do some research. I'm going to finish reading. The last time, just last week, while wearing my turban, they detained me. Broke the seal on the trailer. Obviously, this brother is a driver. Tried to make me and my guests exit the vehicle and attempt an inspection in the cab and bunk of the tractor. All right. It's a sister that's driving trucks. Okay. I learned so much by going through the ordeal. Namely, man does not know by being told is real, and you can only be what you know. Noble El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali's divine and national movement is right and exact for the Asiatics of northwestern Mexico. This was my first demonstration of national principles, and although I was a bit nervous not knowing how it would all play out, I stood on what I knew regardless. My biggest concern, however, was how my guests would fare through it all. We had already talked about the possibility of getting stopped, and due to several discussions on positive law, I was advised to speak in the affirmative and to avoid responding with no or no I am, as I had done previously. In good conscience, I knew acquiescing was not an option. The prophet would have red flagged that for sure. So when asked, I responded, I am. And the games began from that point. I will try to keep this as brief as I possibly can. When I said I am an American citizen twice and gave a definite no to the first agent's U.S. citizens question, the agent asked me if they could scan my truck at a mobile X-ray unit off the side. Now, I'll explain to you what that is because I'm a commercial driver as well. They have these X-ray machines or infrared machines to where they can just go along the side of your tractor and your trailer and find out, you know, by the infrared technology, what's going on in the trailer. They can find out if you got people in there from the body temperature. They can find out if you got chemicals in there. They can find out whatever it is you got in there by temperature. So that's what she's talking about when she's saying X-ray off to the side of the unit. I said, no, they could not. That is when they brought out the canine dog. So far, everything is pretty standard. However, when they came back and told me that the canine hit something and ordered me to pull the truck over for further inspection, it got real quick, since I had never been pulled into a border inspection for anything other than a standard inspection for agriculture. After pulling into the inspection area, I in contact with four levels of agents totaling 5 persons. The first agent told me that the canine hit on something, to which I responded, had not found anything, and I told them that directly. I cannot cross-examine a dog. The agent then told me that I could speak to the dog's handler. I told the agent that the handler wasn't the one who supposedly made the claim. He then attempts to confuse the narrative by trying to use handler and sup interchangeably. And asked to speak with his supervisor. As we are here waiting for his supervisor to arrive, the agent tried to get us to acquiesce to his request to search the vehicle. He also attempted to engage me in conversation, but I immediately recognized what it was and refrained. I told him plainly that I am being detained and he is wearing a uniform and that there is zero possibility of having a casual conversation. I do not consent to any unlawful search and seizure. He continually told me that he had probable cause to search under some court case, to which I asked him what probable cause did he gain. He said the dog, blah, blah, blah. My response was standard. What are you looking for? Where is it? And I cannot cross-examine the dog. Next thing that happened while we were waiting for the supervisor to get to the scene was Agent 2. He was a young agent who attempted to escalate the situation ignorantly. He walked near the cab, pointing and asking me, what was it that I have up in my windshield above the cab? All I kept saying is, what are you talking about? Where? And I do not know what you're talking about, until he got frustrated enough to walk away. I contacted the company to let them know what was happening and to gain an accurate timestamp by way of phone and onboard recording device and contact person. I served as a witness to collaborate with the testimony of my guest, and I have had any further course of action as was needed to be taken. 2 other agents remained at a distance in clear view and adjacent to my position. They had their witnesses, and I was providing mine. The supervisor finally arrived, and I made my stance clear. What was happening? He attempted to evade accountability, stating that there was none. I told him that why I was telling him what exactly happened. How his fellow agent gave unclear instruction initially and escalated the situation in response to me refusing X-ray scan. I told him that I do not consent to any searches and seizure without a warrant, nor do I waive any of my constitutional protections. The key to the lock was given to him to open and break the seal without damaging my lock. He also attempted to engage me in personal conversation. He attempted to separate himself from his uniform duties. He kept asking me if he personally had caused me any harm, and I kept reminding him that he was in his professional capacity, and as long as he was wearing that uniform. I supported that by telling him that one of his uniform brothers had already lied and violated my rights, regardless of what he said. At one point, he asked me to give him a break, which was funny to me because I knew I had and was demonstrating well. History on him. I mentioned Europeans, Aboriginal and Indigenous peoples, and told him color of law and authority is not law. Color of law and authority is not law. When I mentioned Aboriginal, he did a double take and I caught it. He asked me if I meant Indians, the Native Americans. I told him point blank that he was looking at a Native American. And when he revealed he was Mexican, on the Tripoli and Montezuma. In closing, he told me it could have all been worse and issued a slight threat about me coming through here again and possibly of it not going so easy. I told him that was fine with me because I write good writs. I think the Prophet would have been pleased with my demonstration. Islam, family.
Islam. Or you can just go to the inbox and just go through the question.
All right, cool. For people who have an issue with a street more like myself, I study well. I comprehend what I study. And it's vitally important that we bring this information to the people. What's the point of me taking it to the grave? When I get to the next plane, I can't send it to you then. What do you want me to do? Come to everybody in a dream and tell them what I learned? Nah, I'm gonna give this information out every minute. Listen, sister, I don't know if she knows me. Apparently she knows because she's responding to Canaanland Moorish. That's a good demonstration. And like dude said, it could have turned out worse, but it's a good demonstration. I've on many occasions, even at this so-called border right here, leaving from Ontario going into New York, some guys' asses one day. The last time they pulled me and my brother in, when I said that I was an American citizen and not a United States citizen, I need y'all to be clear. They took my brother's conveyance somewhere else and searched it. They make you get out of your vehicle, and you can argue and fuss and fight, but you got to realize they got AR-15s and they got 40 cals on the hips. You got none. It's 50 of them, and it's maybe 1 or 2 or 3 of you. So you got to use your head. They took my brother's conveyance somewhere else and searched it. So when they came back, my brother said, yo, they said we can go. I said, hold up a minute. I walk up to the counter. Is the supervisor on? It's always the supervisor on duty. Is the supervisor on duty? So my man came out. I said, listen, that's my brother's vehicle. I said, the 2 agents that went out and searched it, I said, I need their names. I said, I need their badge numbers. I said, I need their surety bond information. And he looked at me with this puzzled look on his face like, the hell? Like, what do you need that for? And I said, excuse me? For? I said, are they public agents? He said, yeah. I said, then that's public information. I said, if they work in the public, their name should be made public. Their badge number should be made public. Their surety bond information should be made public because they violated us, right? They took the vehicle and they searched it unlawfully in the first place. They searched it unlawfully in the first place, but you moved it somewhere out of my sight, out of my line of vision, and you call yourself searching it. And then you're going to give it back to me so I can drive off into the corporate state of New York and get chased down by some policy enforcers. And they start talking about that I came from Ontario with prescriptions and drugs and all kinds of crazy stuff. I ain't accusing nobody of anything. I'm simply making a statement. And I'm not raising my voice. I'm not yelling at him. I'm not cursing at him, but I'm being stern. And I'm looking him dead in his eyes. It's about seven, 8 of them standing around. Nobody talking. They all just listening. These dudes are public officials, and they violated us. We don't know what they could have done to that car. They could have cut the brake line. They could have done anything. There are people out here who hate you for knowing who you are. I'm not accusing them of anything. I'm just simply stating facts. Anything could have happened to that vehicle. By the time I was done, he didn't give me their surety bond information. But what he did give me was their names. He gave me their badge numbers. He gave me a number in Washington, D.C. to call to report them. I did it. Reported their asses the next day I could. Whether anything happened or not, whether they were reprimanded or not, the point is that we demonstrate. The point is that we let them understand and let them know. You're just a security guard, bro. Security guard. The only authority you have is numbers and weapons. That's the only authority they have. That's it. Imagine if you went in a Walmart and the security guard had a taser, had mace, had a 40 cal on his hip and a nightstick. You wouldn't take nothing out of Walmart. Authority and force. That's all they got. Authority and force. Great demonstration, sister. And don't get me wrong. I'm not telling y'all to go out and start fights just to start fights. I'm not telling you to go out and poke your chest out just to poke your chest out. But right is right and wrong is wrong. At that particular time, I had been fed up with being pulled into the quote unquote border for questioning. For questioning. The last time when I came up here in March, when we went on a road trip, y'all believe that lady said to me, you was just here in January. Why you keep coming back? Because I want to. Like, well, I really got to give you a reason why I keep coming back. I got to explain why I travel to you. Who the hell are you? I mean, real talk. I got to explain to you why pistol over here. You're going to try to talk to me slick. Imagine this. If that same lady and me were walking down the street in a cute uniform and she didn't have her pistol and her 20 goons, how much trash y'all think she talk? None. None. This is why you got to learn to keep a cool head and beat them with wit. You got to learn to beat them with wit. Don't ever lose your cool. That's what they want. You lose your cool, then that's an excuse. That's a reason for them to use force. That's a reason for them to use force. You don't want to give them that opportunity. Don't ever give the enemy ammunition. The prophet said to speak and receive a favorable reply. When you speak in an intelligent tone and you talk knowledgeably, it's nothing they can say. Some of them get aggressive, and that's because they know you're right and they don't like it. But always ask to speak to a supervisor. Always. I'm just checking through the emails over here. See what's up here. Anything else you want me to touch on from these emails, bro?
Or from just answer them.
Just answer?
Everyone that's not open.
All right. The amazing hidden meanings of everyday words. Islam more. Just came across this video. I was thinking you could use parts of it that Moors have been saying from time. Like you have said many times, If they will not hear it from the Moors, then let them hear it from Massa. Laugh out loud. So this is a video. This is a video. It says The Amazing Hidden Meanings of Everyday Words by Jordan Maxwell. You can, I'm not going to watch the video and play the video, but thanks. But just for everybody else who might want to check it out. The Amazing Hidden Meanings of Everyday Words by Jordan Maxwell. From the fam who sent this. I was just tripping the other night, right? I was talking with a couple of the brothers, and I was talking with my wife, and I said that I was going to do the next class at the York House with a mask on. They said, "What the hell you want to do that?" I said, "Maybe I'll go get a George Bush mask. Then maybe people will start listening. Maybe they won't question what I say." Maybe, I mean, seriously, and you know, the truth comes out in jokes. But the bottom line is, I can talk till I turn blue in the face, and some people just won't listen. If George Bush goes on TV and says that, listen, I feel bad about all the crazy shit I did while I was the corporate president, and I just wanted to make things right. So I'm telling all you black people that you're not black, that you're Moors. Shit, man. People be making fences out of socks. You see what I'm saying? And that's real talk. And it's a shame, but it's real talk. It's real talk. I still might get that mask. Peace and blessings, kith and kin. Correction. South Andalusia, Granada, Miami territory, had a crescent sun and moon and Venus directly above with Sirius and Mercury in the vicinity. Though you couldn't see the planetary bodies down here, inside, meditating mostly. This is probably why it was still sunny out here. Interestingly enough, I drew two precise geometric patterns similar to this back in 2015 with a special lady in mind. One was specifically for her, and one was abstract and general drawing for public view. See the attached. That Jupiter ascendant is going to make the sun brighter or become as bright as the sun or Venus next month, 9/22, Revelations 12. This may not be the planetary bodies we were told. Of course, man knows not by being told. Stay in tune. We know that there was a solar eclipse a couple days ago, and a lot of people went and got their glasses. A lot of people got stereo boxes and fixed them up however you fix them up, and they looked up at the eclipse. A lot of people saw it, a lot of people didn't. So I don't know how many of y'all really look into the sky on a regular basis, but sunrise tomorrow in the east. Check out the sunrise, right? But check the position of the moon. Throughout the day, you can see the moon. A lot of people don't look up. And some of y'all in buildings all day, I can get it. I dig it. I'm outside today while I'm working. You can see the sun and the moon, right? They're never really too close together, right? So there's a lot of things being said about an eclipse. It was the moon in between the earth and the sun and all of this other stuff. Say this, I ain't gonna go too deep into that. I'm gonna just say this. Planets don't move backwards, and stars don't move backwards. When they said to be in retrograde, that's commonly what's said, that they're moving backwards. They're not moving backwards. Their movement is slow, and other planets go past them, and it makes it look like they've gone backwards when they haven't. They're just moving slowly than normal. And when the retrograde is over, then they go ahead and they catch up. Planets don't move backwards. If the sun is in the east and the moon is always in the southwest, and we know that this thing is rotating, how is it that the moon just automatically started going backwards and blocked the sun? And what did it do? Just keep on going that way and not going on the same path that has been traveling for so many years? There are other stars and there are other planets in the galaxy and the solar system that you don't know about. You probably don't get too involved in astrology. Do some research about Planet X, about Nibiru, and then wonder why they didn't tell you about that. Planetary alignment that's coming up around the 23rd of next month. It'll be the first time that planetary alignment has been well, it'll be the first time since 1776 that we had this planetary alignment. And it's going to bring about some change. And it may bring some unharmonious times. So just get prepared for that. Islamism, peace and love and wholeness. Brother Cujo L. The question I pose are, what are the steps to take to remove administrations who are seating in the seats of the MSTA, who are fleecing the people and selling them back into slavery, and not honoring what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali has brought to us as a nation. Also, I am a student of Moorish Heritage and History School for a year, and know it's a wonderful school for higher learning. Thank you and all active Moors for all you do. May Allah reward you all. Islam. All right.
You're Nazi.
Sheikh said he chilling. He said, you and I see he chilling. No, yo, he been over there grubbing. He got grub and cupcakes and cookies and listen. Understand that the grand body of the temple are the people. If you want to have somebody removed, then the people need to speak up. It's up to you. It's up to you. Don't come without any information. Don't come without any evidence. Don't come without any proof. If you just want to get your grand sheik removed just because you don't like him, forget about that. Take your personal feelings and emotions, put them in your back pocket. But if he's violating principles, if he's not uplifting fallen humanity, if he's not bringing what the Prophet brought, if you're going to remove him, make sure you have somebody to put in his seat that will do what he's not doing. That process needs to come from the people. From the people. The people are the grand body. Keep that in mind. Don't sit around and start a bunch of slander campaigns. Don't sit around. We just got finished talking about the power of spoken word and that tongue. Number 23, Moorish literature. If it's personal, tuck that in your back pocket. Take your emotions and kick rocks. But if it's for real, if he's definitely letting the people down, if he's selling the people back into slavery, if he's not uplifting fallen humanity, then the people need to come together. The people need to bring it, assistant grand sheik, to the chairman. Go back to Act 1. Read Act 1 of the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. The grand sheik and the chairman are put in position to make laws and enforce them. Go to your assistant grand sheik. Go to your chairman and let them know what the situation is. If you have straight up evidence and no nonsense, then bring it to them and make it happen. Islam. Good morning, brother. I was just listening to the recent Freestyle Tuesdays, and Mama Raz said that it's not that it didn't work. You just didn't work. I ain't got to go no further. I'll read the rest of this, but listen, I heard Raz say that years ago, and I've just adopted what she says. When people ask me, does this stuff work? My response is, does your brain work? That's my response, because this stuff is not just stuff. When you're talking about responding to any of these public officials, when you're talking to responding to any of these corporate agents, or whether you're talking about responding to anybody, you're talking about governmental principles. Keep this in mind. We are the Aboriginal and indigenous people of this land, without a shadow of a doubt, right? You got to know that the Albion is foreign to this land, not the corporate United States. That's a corporation they created that they're a part of. But the land is what I'm talking about. The land is what I'm referencing. They are foreign to the land. If we get up and we go anywhere, Germany, France, wherever we go, at this particular date and time, we can become citizens, but we're still foreigners to the land. So when the French and the Germans come here and the modern British come here, understand that they are foreigners to this land. So keep this in mind. You are talking international affairs. You are talking international affairs. You're talking about people from way over there and the Aboriginal indigenous people of this land. That's an international matter. you can invoke international law just by referring to them as the corporate, occupational, foreign, colonial government. International law. So when you say, does it work? Does this stuff work? Does your brain work? And it made me think of two encounters that I had where I used to domicile. One, I caught two police outside the store and I noticed the accent. So I asked them what was their nationality. One said he was Sudanese and the other said Somalian. I told them later in the conversation that I was Moorish American, and they said, "Oh, you a sovereign citizen?" I said, "No, that's my nationality. Is a Chinese man sovereign because he is Chinese? Why can everybody have a nationality but my people?" They paused and seemed uncomfortable. Then the Sudanese man looked me in my eye and said, "I feel you," but they both got the hell away from me. Laugh out loud. Number two, there was a female sergeant that was stationed as security in the apartments. There was a gate put up to stop traffic from the apartments to the store that was right outside of the apartments because of the violence at the store. I was in the hood. He was in the hood. That means he was in the Badlands. Yeah. He's a street more. Peace and love, street more, right? Someone got a U-Haul and smashed the gate open to break the chain. Soon after that, the sergeant started walking around and asking about the gate. She stopped me walking and asked me who broke the gate. I said, "I don't know." With a look on my face, if I did not know, I still wouldn't tell you. So she nodded her head as to say, "Oh, okay, I see how you want to play." Instantly, I hit her with it. "What's your nationality?" To deflate her ego. It shifted. She said, "Oh, I was born in London, but I've been here since I was a little girl." I said, "Oh, so you're English?" She did not answer. Then I told her I was Moorish American. She said, "Oh, are you one of those sovereign?" So I cut her off and said, "No, I'm not a sovereign citizen." Nationality. She said, "As an officer, they're cops. You can call them constables on patrol. You can call them whatever. Policy enforcers, but they're not officers. An officer is one who has been affected, capacity. Attorney, sheriff, so on and so forth, mayor." I said, "No. Was you hired to be an officer?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Well, officers are not hired. They are elected." There you go. The only officer in the county is the sheriff. Multiple sheriffs. They're not multiple sheriffs. It's one sheriff. The rest are deputies. Even though they wear jackets that say sheriff, or it may say sheriff department, some of them say sheriff deputy. They drive cars, they say sheriffs. There's one sheriff. The rest are deputies. She said there are multiple sheriffs. I said, "Well, the one that was elected," as if to say, "Don't be a smartass." "Did I have a driver's license?" I said, "Yes," but it signed all rights reserved. I didn't know if she was going to use that info to attack me. And started showing me a pic, an ID, and she said, "Do you have one of these?" I said, "No, but I plan to get one." This guy over, and he said he was a sovereign citizen, implying that we were the same. And they held him up for hours until he gave in. She then said, "If you have a license, just show it to the cop." I replaced officer with cop. "It will save you a lot of trouble." So I asked her, if a woman was being raped, would you tell her to just cooperate? She said, "If I was being raped, yes, I would. I would cooperate and just let him finish so that I can live." I'll stop. There have been a lot of women who have been raped and killed. So to think, all right, I'll just let him do this and get finished so I can live. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna say to my mothers and my sisters out there, I'm not going to advise you on what to do. But I just want to respond to that statement. There are a lot of sisters who have been raped and killed. She said, so he can finish so that I can live. I looked in her eyes and I said, "I will fight to the death." I'm speaking for myself. I'm not advising any mothers or sisters out here on what to do. If I was a woman, even me being a man, if you attempt to rape me, one of us going to jail and one of us going to the morgue. She walked away from me and looked back at me with the face that said, "You've got some nerve talking to me like that." She got in her car and drove off. Knowing who you are is like holy water to these vampires. Fam, I'm going to say to you, just like I said earlier, great demonstration. Great demonstration. It's not always necessary to raise your voice, to be disrespectful, to be arrogant, to want, to fuss and fight. Sometimes all you got to do is just speak in an intelligent tone, and they understand. Where a brother back in the Philadelphia territory was headed to my domicile, and he was taking a bit long. So I called him. I said, "Bro, what's up? Where you at?" He whispered, "I got stopped by the police." I said, "Well, where you at?" So I'm over here on these streets. So I got in the car and I went over there, got my fez on, got out the car. I walked over to his vehicle, and the policy enforcer that stopped him said, "Hey, move away from that vehicle." So I asked him, I said, "Excuse me, bro, is this a crime scene?" And he said, "No, it's not a crime scene." I said, "All right, then be cool. I know this brother." So I walked over. He said, "Hey, man, hey." I said, "Again, is this a crime scene?" He said, "No." I said, "All right, then. I know him." I said, "In fact, I'm calling your superior out here." So I got on the phone. I called over to the 14th Police District where we were. And I said, "Listen, I'm over here at Shelton and Boyer. A friend of mine's been stopped by a couple of your agents." I said, "I need a white shirt on the scene ASAP." My man pulled up in less than 5. He pulled up, he walked over there, and he talked to his guy in the vehicle. And then he came over to us. The brother was still sitting in the conveyance. I'm standing outside. I said, "How you doing?" "I'm SetenRa." I said, "I know this brother." I said, "These policy enforcers have stopped him and are attempting to take the vehicle. I have ID." I said, "So what? You don't need any ID." I said, "Your guys didn't identify themselves. They didn't give him any business cards. They got on uniforms. How many times you heard about somebody impersonating a policy enforcer? Ain't the first time you heard about it, and it won't be the last." I said, "Listen," I said, "I just want you to be clear that I am fully aware of the supreme law of the land being the Constitution drafted for the United States of North America." I said, "But I'm also fully aware that you, as a policy enforcer, have a duty, the statutes, codes, and ordinances of this jurisdiction." And he looked at me like, "Hold up, what's this motherfucker know?" Excuse my language. He said, "What, so that's the look he had on his face, right?" So I said, "The statute that you have called livestock says that if a person is stopped in a vehicle and they don't have 2 of 3 items, driver's license, registration, vehicle insurance, if you don't have 2 of the 3, then the vehicle will be taken and impounded." Although he doesn't have a driver's license. I said, "This vehicle is registered and insured. So why did he call a tow truck out here to take the vehicle?" He said, "Registered?" I said, "Yeah, it's registered." "Well, whose is it?" I said, "It's his wife's." He said, "Well, where is she at?" I said, "She's home." He said, "Wait right here." He went and talked to his goons and came back. He said, "Listen, just like that, just like that, just tell her to come get the car." His goons had already called the Philadelphia Parking Authority, right? Now, the Philadelphia Parking Authority and the Philadelphia Police are 2 totally different private agencies that broker with the corporation called Philadelphia. They broker with them. That means they're in business with them, right? So when the police pull you over and you don't have what they ask you to have, then it's their duty to call these Philadelphia Parking Authority, whose parent company is not even in the corporate state of Pennsylvania, it's in the corporate state of Ohio, to come and take your vehicle, right? So he said, "Listen, get her out here before they get here." He said, "I can't stop them from taking the car." Thought you was the police. I thought you was the policy enforcer. I thought y'all had I thought y'all had the authority. I thought y'all were above the law. What do you mean you can't stop him from taking the car? What do you mean you can't stop him from taking the car? You know why? Because it's 2 different agencies and they ain't got nothing to do with each other, even though they both say Philadelphia this or Philadelphia that. 2 totally different agencies have nothing to do Philadelphia. They work with the corporate city of Philadelphia. 2 weeks later, at the York House, Taj Tariq Bey and the brother James Bey run out of the York House, almost at a sprint. 5 minutes later, I get a phone call. SetenRa, Taj said to call the sheriff, come down the street right now. I said, what's going on? It's a situation with the police. I asked the cameraman to stop the camera. I said, all the brothers come with me. We threw on our hoodies, we threw on our jackets, put our feathers back on. We walked up the street. When we got up the street, it was 8 police up there. In there handing the sergeant his ass. We walked up there and none of them got out their vehicles. They sat there while Taj is handing their sergeant his ass. And the brother was cool, Sergeant Medina. If you out there, Sergeant Medina, and you see this, because I know you was tuned in that day, peace and love. Sergeant Medina was all in. He was all ears. And he was embracing what Taj was telling him. Medina. That means he's a Spanish-speaking Moor. Right? It was finished. The brother that had been stopped by those policy enforcers didn't have a driver's license, didn't have registration, didn't have insurance. He showed them a right to travel card. He showed them a nationality card. He pulled off out of there. Nobody went up there with their chest poked out, screaming, hollering, cursing, pulling guns, bats, knives, and none of that. Speak in an intelligent tone. Am I telling anybody out here to poke their chest out and start fights all the time? Nah. If you're not versed in the law, then you do what you need to do so you can go home safe to your family. Because nationality and birthright is not about arguing and fighting with policy enforcers. It's not about arguing and fighting with anybody in any official capacity, anything like that. The truth of Islam, learning the truth about yourself, mastering self, understanding governmental principles, universal principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. That's what your nationality and birthright is about. In the meantime, if we got to knuckle up a little bit and do what we got to do out here, then we do it. But understand that nationality and birthright is not about fighting this corporation. It's about understanding who you are, embracing your indigenous status in this land. Forget about all that other stuff. Learn about who you are. Love is. Open up a dictionary and define it. Learn what truth is. Learn what peace is. Learn what freedom is. And learn what justice is. Bro, I'm telling you real talk. Define those words. Forget about what you think you know. Get yourself a good unabridged dictionary and define those words. Even go to Google if you got to, but define them. Step. I and my husband discovered about you from RV Bay Publications. And we have been learning so much about our true national identity and history that we would like to know if you are in connection to a temple, school, and our location, that we may continue to learn and take the next step of proclaiming our nationality as the Prophet Noble Drew Ali advised. I will also disclose to you that my husband is incarcerated and is going through an extensive appeal process. And if anyone is knowledgeable in this particular area of law, could we be referred to them for some useful guidance? It is greatly appreciated. We have read several times about how to go about the nationality process legally, and we are unclear on actual steps. To help us get clarity on that as well, it would be nice. Also, if we could know where to attend classes in our location, that will help a whole lot, as well because we are learning differently. And although the information on the website is insightful, I would like to be in a class setting to enhance my learning experience. I live in Los Angeles, California. I appreciate your response and the time. She left her number, so we'll give you a call, sister, after this. But let me say this. To anybody who studies on RV Bay Publications and anyone who studies on your own, Moorish Heritage and History School, whether you're checking out Canaanland classes, whatever you're watching, YouTube, whatever you're doing, if you're not a part of a temple and you have not nationality and birthright, do not attempt to download anything from RV Bay Publications and use it to courts. That's fraud. Don't think that a status correction is not that serious. It's fraud. If you have not proclaimed and declared your nationality, if you have not put them on notice as to who you are and not who they claim you are with those all caps letters, do not attempt to use any of those documents. They will get you for fraud. I'm telling you real talk. And don't think it's fear or none of that nonsense in me. You know, y'all know me. Y'all know better than that. But I'm gonna give it to you straight laced. I'm gonna tell you what it is. I'm not gonna tell you how it should be or how you want it to be. I'm gonna tell you what it is. I think that's it. I'm gonna hit refresh and see if anything else is up there. I think that's it for the emails.
That last one.
Which one?
It's the one that you just read.
Uh-huh.
There's a couple other things in there about the process.
The process?
Yeah.
All right. So for anybody who's on RV Bay Publications, if you're not a part of a temple, if there are no temples in your area, tell people to do. You go to the website, RV Bay Publications. You go to the link that say Rich of Freedom. And before you attempt the process, I suggest that you read that entire page extensively. Read it 3 times. You cannot say that you studied the thing unless you review the thing. The mother of learning, repetition is the mother of learning. So read it and understand it. Right? Read it thoroughly. You can also go to that same website and go to the link that says nationality cards. You go to that link and you read it extensively and you understand it thoroughly. That document, that legal declaration, and that judicial proclamation, read them thoroughly. If you don't have a Black's Law Dictionary, then refer to the Law Dictionary online. If you don't have a Black's Law 3rd or 4th edition, 1st or 2nd, if you don't have Bouvier's or any other credible law dictionary, then go to the legal dictionary online and read these documents thoroughly. Before you attempt to download them and then send them in. Once you have read and once you have understood what it is that you're saying, because you're saying to the corporation, I am no longer this corporate fiction that I was made to be at birth. That I am SetenRa Haru Emaketi Bay, Impropria Persona, Sir Juris. I am telling you that I know who I am. I'm in my proper person. There ain't no going back. There ain't no going back. There ain't no still being Negro, colored, and Black. Once you proclaim and declare your nationality, there ain't no going back. So read thoroughly those 2 affidavits. When you scroll down on the Writ of Freedom page, the very first 2 documents you'll see are the name declaration and judicial proclamation. Read them thoroughly. When you're ready, then you print them. Before you print them, you do what is you got your free national name, you got your corporate name where it's in red. Then you go ahead and do what you need to do, fill that in, you print them, and then you send them in. The mailing instructions are on the site. But until you have proclaimed and declared your nationality, do not attempt to use any of those documents on that site. You will be committing fraud. Now, don't get me wrong. By descent nature, we are all Moors. But when you were born, your mother was bamboozled and she got you a birth certificate. Flip the script just like that without your mother being aware of it. Right? Put you in a whole different mix, in a whole different status. That's the purpose of the paperwork. That's the purpose of sending in the paperwork and putting them on notice. That's the purpose. As far as classes in the Los Angeles territory or anything out there, like I said, sis, we'll call you after we get done here, and we can talk about that further then. All right, that's about it for that.
Don't need to dig up old bones, but somebody messaged me that people who were in North Carolina causing stuff, are on that campaign about, you know, anybody who's down with them, they're on terrorist lists if they got a nationality card from RVB publications and so.
I heard something about that. I heard something about that. So somebody down in the North Carolina territory making statements saying that anybody who has an RV Bay Publications nationality card is on the terrorist list. Where's my wallet over there, Sheik? Mm-hmm. Nope. I left it in the car. Because I got one in my pocket. A RV Bay Publications nationality card on the terrorist list. Understand this. If you're going against anything stand for, you can be put on the terrorist list. You can say certain things because if you think you got one of these, if you think they ain't tuned in and they ain't listening to a whole lot of what you're saying, you can say certain things, you can be put on the terrorist list. Right? You can be put on a no-fly zone and don't even know it. You buy a ticket and you go to travel and they stop you at the airport and say you can't fly. You say, why? You're on the no-fly list. Why? Why? You know how many people on the no-fly list that don't have a RV Bay Publications nationality card? People in their emotions, people in their jealousies, people in their quest for finance start these kind of rumors. People. I've been told the RV Bay Publications nationality card for about 5 years now. For about 5 years. I've flown an RV Bay Publications nationality card. I've gotten memberships to this place, to that place. Y'all know about Sam's Club. You know about BJ's and Costco. I got memberships to all these places in Philly using the nationality card. Using the nationality card. You want to let somebody scare you out of using a nationality card, then you're crazy. You got to understand that the prophet said there were going to be people wearing turbans and fezzes who were going to try to put you back into slavery. People. Your own people. I tell you what, if the RV Bay Publications nationality card is going to put me on a terrorist list, then why don't you offer me something that won't put me on a terrorist list? Why haven't you gone to RV Bay and said to her, listen, mother, here's the situation. That. No, they ain't doing that. They just slandering. They just slandering. If you think that having an RV Bay Publications nationality card and having a Moorish, a MSTA ID card is different, you crazy. The FBI papers. That means you haven't Googled FBI, Moorish Science Temple of America. You ain't being under watchful eye. If you think they ain't tuning in and listening to what you're talking about and what you're saying, it's a number of them watching this broadcast right now. And it's a number of people look like me watching this broadcast who are going to just try to dispute everything I say and attack everything I say, but I could care less. And I'm not one to argue. By all means, I can care less. Really think that having a Moorish nationality card from RV Bay Publications and one from the Moorish Science Temple of America is anything different, you're a fool. Hands, you have proclaimed and declared your Moorish nationality. You have declared, this is my pedigree. If you think it's any different, you're out your damn mind. Now, if you really think that whatever you have is going to get us off of the terrorist list, then by all means, then why don't you just come right out and say, listen, this is what I have. And as opposed to sparking up nonsense and starting a bunch of BS. Come forth. This is what we have. They don't want to do that. They want to attack RV Bay Publications. Why? Because it's successful. Anytime you're successful, you're going to find people who want to try to bring you down. Listen, Marcus Messiah Garvey had it popping. The turn of the century. Who was it that stabbed him in the back? Somebody looked just like him, right? What's that chunk's name? W.E.B. Du Bois.
Yeah.
Come to Philly and go down to about 6th and South. There's a fire station at the corner of the block. There's a mural, and there's a big old picture of W.E.B. Du Bois, and it shows the color code caste system that he did in the Philadelphia territory way back then. And you look at the pictures of everybody's faces, the firemen, the people who are, and everybody's face is angry. Everybody, the firemen, what they mad at a fire for, right? There's a European dude, one European dude, and he got his hands in his pocket, and he just strolling, he ain't mad. You look at the color code caste system, and you look at how that chunk classified you, his people, by all of these different codes, right? Or if you were in a white class, then it means you were wealthy, that means you were educated, that meant you were this, that, and the third. It's just because. If you were in a black caste, then that means you were poor, that means you were uneducated, and that means you were blah, blah, blah. People. He didn't do that for the people that domiciled in Philadelphia. He did it for you, Asiatics. He didn't do it for the Europeans. He classified you. And then he started talking all that talented 10th nonsense. The talented 10th. That's when they started that boule. We might as well be doing the same thing now. We might as well be doing the same thing now. Oh man, RV Bay Publications, MHHS, Taj Tariq Bay, the brother down here. Come on, man. Come on, man. If you haven't came forth with anything else, any other identification card for these Moors out here who need to be moving around with ID, then stop making noise. Stop slandering RV Bay Publications. In fact, hell, I even used a nationality card up here in Canaanland. We was in Foot Locker a year ago. We was in Foot Locker. I went to buy a pair of Bobos. The card got the taxes wiped out. That RV Bay Publications card. The same card that everybody else is using. And not being gripped up and not being hemmed up. When you know what you know, nobody can't tell you anything else. When you know what you know, nobody can tell, they can say what they want, but when you know what you know and you speak on it in a firm, clear voice, you usually always get the results you're looking for. Forget about the terrorist list. Forget about all those other lists. They probably got us all on there right now in alphabetical order and whatever. Who cares? Who cares? I'm not going to stop being who I am. Put me on this list. Who cares? Who cares? You know how many times I got to hang up because I hear them? With all the technology you got, you can still hear them when they're tuning in. Who cares? They're going to listen. They're going to watch. They're going to be amongst us. They're going to be sitting in the temple in the back row, and they're going to be listening. They're going to be at the temple cookout tomorrow. Somebody out there might not be right. It's cool though. We still gonna go out there. We're gonna laugh. We're gonna talk. We're gonna wear these feathers, and we're gonna have a good time. Some chicks from last year, Nigeria. Yeah. Ask why we had them feathers on. Yeah. Why y'all wearing those feathers? Cool. Say what? The Moors in Nigeria wear feathers. We know who we are. They came and cooked out with us. When we took the group picture, they jumped in the picture. You get a different respect when you know who you are. And you act like who you are. You got a nationality card, you wear a fez, you wear a turban, and you still act Negro, colored, and black, expect to be disrespected. But when you wear a turban and a fez, you have your nationality card or whatever else, you got your Circle 7 pendant on, whatever else you got, whatever, and you stand on who you are, and you let people know who you are affirmatively, you get a whole different respect. A whole different respect. Terrorist list or not, if you don't have a temple to go to, if you don't have another grand body to go to be a part of, and RV Bay is your only salvation, utilize it. The prophet left the information for us, left the foundation for us to build upon. RV Bay Publications has built upon that foundation. Build upon that foundation. Uh-oh. I think I turned it off. Islam, bro, Cujo, and Canaanland Moors. And to you, bro, Ra, the street Moor, Islam.
Starting the trend. We need the shirts.
Hey, yo, we getting the shirts. The street Moors, baby. And listen, of course, you know Cujo is the Grand Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So you know, not getting him a street Moor t-shirt. I'm getting all of them street Moor t-shirts. 3 instances to name. Here's one. Got pulled over by the fuzz late night. Self and one modern European woman. She flashed me to pull over, so I did so, but into a dark gas station. I had
Street Moors.
Yeah, street Moors, right? What's up, homie? As she approached the whip, I had hands out the window, yo, because they just choked the dude out on the same street months prior. However, we start speaking, and she asked for the norms, and I went on to tell her who I am, and she agreed that I wouldn't be searched or seized, but the vehicle had to go and no insurance. However, it's a win-win for me being free and not on the news. She didn't think about backup because that copper tone, plus the intelligent. I'm thinking you missed a couple words there, but I'm gonna read it. Because she didn't think about backup because that copper tone plus the intelligent to be had her shock. Laugh out loud. I was in control from the moment she stepped up to the whip. She said, sorry, but at least no jail, and I like the turban. Please, laugh. I'm going to say it. LMAO fezzes up. Listen, they're going to do what they do. You know what I'm saying? You got some of them who going to go hard on taking these vehicles and things of this nature. But let me say this. Let me point this out. For anybody who goes through that situation, whether you're in the Philadelphia territory or you're in another territory, enforcers take your vehicle because of no registration and no insurance. Let's keep this in mind. If you are paying a car note, if you have a car note, then the first lien holder on that vehicle is whoever you're financing your car through. All you need to do is call that first lien holder, whoever you're financing your vehicle through, have them call the Philadelphia Parking Authority or whoever else. They will release your vehicle. Because now, if they don't, then that corporation can say that they stole their property. I'm talking lawful stuff, y'all. I'm not talking jargon. I'm not telling you to do something that possibly might work. This is legal stuff. The first lien holder, and all they have to do is make a single phone call and they have to release that vehicle. And then go ahead and get a bunch of tickets and go ahead and get yourself in a bunch of trouble and nonsense. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is understand that if they're the first lien holder, that they can have that vehicle released.
So what would you say to somebody putting a lien on the birth certificate to be the first lien holder?
Cool. So we talking authentication. Who wants to authenticate a birth certificate? You haven't studied, and you obviously don't understand law. Who has studied, who is studied and understands law, understands that in order to be the holder in due course of an instrument, you have to have the original instrument. If you have a birth certificate that you got from Vital Records, that is not the original document. That the birth certificate that you have that was mailed to your mother or mailed to you or you picked up and you signed or your mother and father signed was not The original document was the application that your mother or father filled out to get the birth certificate. Just like a mortgage. If you go get a mortgage, the original document will be the promissory note and the deed of trust. Those are the original documents, not whatever you receive in the mail from the mortgage company. So the birth certificate, being holder in due course of a birth certificate, is futile. Contracts, you got to understand law. It is not the original document. You can't be holder in due course if you're not in possession of the original document. Furthermore, proclaimed your nationality and birthright, whether through a temple or through RV Bay Publications or some other grand body, and you have told the foreign occupational colonial government that this all capital letter entity that you created is no longer me, that I am person, impropria persona, you just refuted. You just said, I'm not that entity. Now, if you turn around and take that very same document and go get it authenticated, Black's Law sitting right here. I'm gonna read the definition of authenticated. If you get it authenticated, you just gave credence to the same document that you just said was fraudulent and the entity that you said wasn't you. Authentication. Authentication. First, I'll read authentic. Authentic, genuine, true, real, pure, reliable, trustworthy, and authority of an original, duly vested with all necessary formalities and legally attested, competent, credible as evidence. Authentic act. In civil law, an act which has been executed before a notary or a public officer authorized to execute such functions, or which is testified by a public seal, or has been rendered public by an authority of a competent magistrate. And keep in mind that a magistrate is not a judge. Magistrate is just somebody in an official capacity. Or which is certified as being a copy of a public register. Now, authentication. In the law of evidence, the act or mode of giving authority or legal authenticity to a statute, record, or other written instrument, or a certified copy thereof. So legally admissible in evidence. Now, you flat out say that I'm not this all capital letter entity. You can't turn around and go and authenticate and give credence and say that the very instrument that made you that all capital entity, take that same instrument and get it authenticated. That's called fraud. There is no statute of limitations on fraud. Excuse me, none. So the whole process of going to retrieve that birth certificate and take it to the state building and have them authenticate it and sign off on it, and then take it to the federal level and have them authenticate it and sign off on it, and then to get a UCC-1 statement and file that to say that you were the holder in due course. You just committed fraud, whether you realize it or not, because you have already previously stated that I am not that. About you want to capture the straw man, control the straw man, proclaim and declare your nationality. Proclaim and declare your nationality. A lot of people busy looking for remedy, right? But the remedy they're looking for is in finance. They're not looking for true remedy. They're not look. See. You say all this time we've been crying about we want reparations. Look up the definition of reparations. It's finances or numeration paid to a defeated nation. To a defeated nation. Just a little while ago, I had a Moor call my brother and ask my brother, "Do you really think this nationality is worth it? Is nationality really that important?" He didn't ask me that. He asked my brother. Mm-hmm. So I addressed it in a class. In fact, it may be on YouTube by now. What I did was I took everybody to Oklahoma and showed everybody how our ancestors in Tulsa, Oklahoma were bombed, were murdered, was slaughtered. Women, children, and men. Totally ignored. They went to Tulsa, Oklahoma later on in years when the attorney, Brother Roundtree, Ogletree, took up the case. And then he got Brother Johnny Cochran and some other sisters and brothers, and they took the case to Tulsa, Oklahoma courts. They shot him down. They went to the Oklahoma Supreme Court. They shot him down. They went to the Supreme Court. They shot him down. Why? Because the Supreme Court just ain't going to recognize reparations for black people. Just ain't going to happen. The United Nations ain't going to recognize black people. It's called the United Nations. Black's not a nation. Right? So then I took him a little further in history, a few more years. I took him into Nazi Germany. And I gave him Adolf Hitler and his three henchmen, Goebbels, Göring, and the other cat, right? Went all into the Holocaust and how they slaughtered and killed all of these people who called themselves Jews and all of this other stuff. I took him a little further to all of these so-called Jews attempting to get reparations from the United Nations. And they slapped him in the face and told him to kick rocks. But at the same time, they were being told to kick rocks. All of these officials who they had caught up with from the Third Reich were being tried. It's called the Nuremberg trials. Go and check it out. Go and check it out. So you can see that. So you can see that when people are actually brought to justice for human trafficking and all of these other war crimes. Same stuff that's happening to us. The reason I went through all of that is to show them that in 1948, when these so-called Jews created that state called Israel, they got all the reparations in the world. You know why? Because they created a Jewish society. They created their own state. And they went to the United Nations and said anybody of Jewish descent, even though they call themselves Jews, and you can't be of Jewish descent because Jewish is not a nationality. Those people were Polish, those people were German, they were Bavarian, they were all of these other nationalities, but they chose to call themselves Jews. Now, when they created the state of Israel, any so-called Jew who claims to be from this state of Israel, is protected by the state of Israel. They got reparations just like that.
Cool. You mentioned Jewish Society, Moorish Order of the Round Table.
Mm-hmm.
You just mentioned Jewish Society right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is the temple tied to that in any way? And what when you say Jewish Society?
So let's go back into the Black's Law Dictionary and pull up Juro. So what Cujo said that I mentioned Moorish Order of the Round Table earlier, society, and that I just mentioned Israel as a Jewish society. And he asked, was the temple tied into that? So I'm gonna read Juro right here out of the Black's Law Dictionary right quick. I'm about to say you missing some pages, bro. Juro. Pertaining to natural or positive right, or the doctrines of rights and obligations of jurial relations, of or pertaining to jurisprudence, juristic, juridical, recognized or sanctioned by positive law, embraced within or covered by the rules and enactments of positive law, founded in law, organized upon the basis of a fundamental law, and existing for the recognition and protection of rights. So what Cujo asked me is the temple, the Moorish Science Temple of America, embraced in that? And I say to Cujo, and I say to all of you, it absolutely is. Noble Drali started that Jewish society in 1913. Old Canaanite Temple. Then again in 25 and so on and so forth, right? The problem is this. Acting as a Jewish, speaking about Cujo. He's not better, right? I'm not speaking about Cujo, because if Cujo wasn't doing what he needed to do, I wouldn't be here. Right? I can come to Toronto and hang out and have a good time. I ain't got to come over here. But Cujo is right and he's acting with what he's doing. Cujo has on many occasions been the bridge between the corporation and the people. There are people up here who have had their children taken by the corporation and came to Cujo and he's got their children back. The Moorish Science Temple of America's Grand Sheik is supposed, according to Act 1, is supposed to make law and enforce law. That's a juror society. Did you hear what I just read? You need me to read it again? All right. Juror, pertaining to natural or positive right or the doctrines of rights and obligations as juror relations, of or pertaining to jurisprudence, juristic, juridical, recognized or sanctioned by positive law, embraced within or covered by the rules and enactments of positive law. Organized upon the basis and fundamental law and existing for the recognition and protection of rights. I just said he just did. The Moorish Science Temple of America is a juror society. The Temple of America is supposed to act as a regency between us, the Asiatics of the land, and them, the corporation, the occupational, colonial, foreign, European invaders. Rights. That's the temple's job. The temple is already a juror society that's set up and in place. It's the people in the temple who are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's got nothing to do with the temple. The temple is right and exact. The temple, yes, is a juror society. Are the people behind closed doors operating it that way? You tell me, you're in the temple. Is your Grand Sheik and your chairman, are they the go-between between you and the corporation? Right? I gave this example in Philly. Why domicile is Northwest Philly? You have Northeast Philly, you have North Philly, you have South Philly, you have West Philly, you have Southwest Philly. And as of late, they come up with a Southeast Philly and the East Philly, right? All of these different jurisdictions, right? Since they have all of these different jurisdictions, there should either be a temple in each one of those jurisdictions, or there should be a specific temple that says, okay, we're going to cover these jurisdictions. Who has proclaimed and declared their nationality? Or even those unawakened Moors, if they come to the temple and want to proclaim, because you know some temples, man, they turn their nose up at people. And they don't want to. I know people have come to me at the York House and have flat out told me I went to the temple and they didn't want to let me in. They've been calling them internet Moors because they come from RV Bay Publications, because they got this Circle 7, right? And not the Circle 7 that they give away in the temple. Listen, if I'm walking down the street, am I not supposed to pick it up and keep it? Because I can get it from the temple, it's no good. If I go to Google and I type in Circle 7 Holy Quran, am I not supposed to read that because it didn't come from the temple? We got to get out of these mindsets, all of this nonsense. The temple is supposed to be a regency. It's supposed to be the go-between between the corporation and the people. That's the way it was set up. Now, I'm sitting right here. Cujo is not even sitting 10 feet away from me. True, he would have stopped me by now and said, bro, you don't know what you're talking about. That's because I study. That's because I study the prophet's work. I study his literature. And I learn from elders who have been studying the prophet's work and literature for over 30 to 40 years. The temple is a juror society. We shouldn't have to go around and act. I shouldn't have had to table in 1982. And I shouldn't have to reinstate the Moses on the Round Table in 2017. But to effectuate change, that's what's going to happen. I'm willing to sit down and talk with anybody that's a part of any temple. I'm more than willing to work with anybody that's a part of any temple, anybody that's a part of any church, anybody that's a part of any masjid or whatever. See, I've attained enough degrees to understand that I know it's only one. We learn Islam in degrees. You get degrees out of here, right? Circle 7 Holy Quran. You get degrees out of here. The Moorish literature. You get degrees out of here. The 101s. You get degrees from here. You can still all of these books sitting behind me, but you also get degrees from sitting around the building with your brothers and your sisters. Degrees. Constant mind elevation. I'm more than willing to work with anybody. I'm not going to argue about what your title is, what your position is, where your temple is, how many floors you got. I could care less. What I care about is these babies out here. I don't care about your affiliations. I don't care who your pastor is, who your imam is, who your grand sheikh is. I care about the babies. You want to argue about that? I'll see you later. I'm not arguing with you. Have a good day. Have a good life. I refuse to do it. But as a member of this roundtable, I'm more than willing to get it cracking with anybody who wants to put in this work. When we go out and clean the streets, when we choose a neighborhood and go clean up the streets, and you know what's funny? In April, Cujo was in Philly territory. Cujo said, "Damn, man, Philly dirty." You know, I used to argue with people when they said that, right? But I was in the vehicle with him. I'm navigating, and I'm actually just looking around, and I couldn't argue with him. Because it is. And then I come up here and I'm riding around Toronto and Scarborough and Brampton and Ajax and all these other places that I go through. You don't see all that trash on the street. So he come down there and he like, damn, look like the slums. You know what I'm saying? And the reality of it is, yeah, we got a lot of trash on the street. So me and other members of the Moors Order Round Table, on certain days, we're going to fez up, we're going to turban up, and we're going to put on our stuff. We're going to take our banner out there, the Moors Order Round Table banner, and we're going to post up. We're going to give the people literature. Oh, peacefully. We ain't arguing with nobody. Peacefully. When we go to these town hall meetings that the policy enforcers have, we're going to sit there and demonstrate peacefully. Introduce ourselves so they know who we are, so they know that we're not sovereign citizens, so they know that we come in peace and that we represent 5 principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. When the city councilmen have their meetings, have their town hall meetings, we'll go. Anybody who wants to join us is more than welcome. But if you want to come and cause strife and cause arguments, go on about your business, because nobody got time for that. We got work to do. Uplifting fallen humanity. What this man started, the Prophet, Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. We're doing his work, not yours. This ain't no personal agenda of mine. This ain't no personal agenda of Taj Tariq Bey and anybody else that we're affiliated with. Ivy Bey, Anna Ida Il, Ms. Raheem, Cujo. Listen, we're doing the Prophet's work. If you don't agree with what we're doing, stay in your lane, we're staying ours. We'll reach who we can reach, you reach who you can reach. You continue to do your job of uplifting fallen humanity, and we'll continue to do ours. It's really simple. But to consistently keep arguing and bickering and fighting and carrying on, that's just not going to happen. I want to read something else out of the Moorish literature too. It's number 17. For anybody who got the Moorish literature. Number 17, Moorish Costume Ball. Friday, October 26, 1928. So enthusiastic was the reception of the costumes worn by the Moorish Americans during their parade that the members of the Moorish Science Temple have decided to have at different times what they will call a Moroccan costume ball. It will be had shortly after the holidays, about New Year's Eve. The Prophet consented that this could be for the entertainment of the members. Other groups of people in the city have been using the dress of our forefathers and imitating them all, but the olive hue they cannot get. They try though. They go to them tanning salons and they try. Can't fault them, man. Look how we look. You know what I'm saying? During the Moorish convention, more than 1,500 Moroccan costumes were rented to Europeans who had seen the program and knew the Moors parade. But nevertheless, we were successful in obtaining through certain Asiatic costume dealers all the costumes we wanted. The costume ball will be among the first of such given is put forth with the origin of millions of people in this country who can trace their ancestors back to the illustrious founders of civilization. It will remind the descendants of these people that forefathers were the main people to spread the most progressive ideas of civilization. In fact, they paved civilization many times. Barbaric tribes from the north were ravishing all countries they were permitted to enter. It was the forefathers of the Moorish Americans and their near kin that saved the historic records that were threatened during these days when the burning of libraries was a fad. This costume ball will be much looked for and appreciated by the prophet. Earlier this year, we attempted to do a Moorish costume ball. The idea was brought to me by another brother, and me and my wife took it by the horns and we ran with it. We created a flyer, and it was visited by over 300 people. Unfortunately, we had to cancel the Moorish costume ball due to a lack of support. And unfortunately, we couldn't pull that thing off the way we wanted to, and bring everybody together just for a good time, just like the prophet said. Listen, October 26, 1928. That was the date. Now, after we canceled the ball, there was a YouTube put out, and the individual that put it out made mention of the costume ball, said, "This ain't no time to be going to balls. This ain't no time to be sitting around having fun. We got work to do. We're doing this. We got to do that, blah, blah, blah." Questioned my integrity, wanted to know where the finances were going, and all of that type of thing. I really didn't care about the video. Big deal. People who know me know that I have never been consumed with finance. I've been to Canaanland, who knows how many times. Ask Cujo how many times he paid for me to come. Ask Cujo how many times I've asked him, "Hey, can you cover this?" Not once. Not once. Ask anybody who has asked me to come lecture anywhere how much I've asked for. Nothing. I can care less about the finance. What I care about is uplifting fallen humanity and my people. I embody that principle of love. My wife's idea of the costume ball just go by the wayside, especially since we already had a spot reserved and it's paid for. So what she did was she rescheduled it for 11/11/2017. So it'll be in the Philadelphia territory. November 11th, we'll have the ball. And ironically, a week or so ago, the MSTA was putting on a costume ball in October, a month before our ball. And not so much that it discouraged me, it just disturbed me. There hadn't been a Moorish costume ball in that territory in over 15 years. Back. And we told a few people about the November 11th date, and now all of a sudden they're having one in October. So no problem. We've already solidified the spot. We got the spot put away. Have a DJ to come and spin some tunes, and we already have food on deck. So November 11th, if anybody is interested in coming to the Moorish Unity Ball that's going to be presented by the Moors Order of the Round Table, you're more than welcome to come. I'll put the information up in a matter of a couple of days. I'll put up the next flyer. Cujo will get the flyer. He can put it up. And the whole purpose of this is because we work so hard. Sometimes there ain't nothing wrong with letting your hair down and having a good time. So, of course, we got a lot of work to do. Of course, there's plenty to do. You think in 1928 there wasn't a lot to do? You think they wasn't facing all kind of hate and all kind of quote-unquote racism and all kind of other riffraff in 1928? But the prophet still said that let's have a ball and enjoy ourselves and have a good time. Let's put on our traditional dress. Let's put on our traditional garb and have a good time. But since they want to have the costume ball, the Moorish costume ball, no problem. We'll put on the Moorish Unity Ball. And all temples, all grand bodies, and if you're not a part of a temple or any grand body, if you know you're more of Moorish descent and you know who you are, then come on to the Unity Ball and have a good time. No sneakers, no Timbs, no jeans. Put on some clothes. Put on some clothes. I don't want to hear nothing about a European in a damn suit, because the European walked around in fur until he came across us. Anything you can think of in the way of fine dress, that's real tough. So I don't want to hear nothing about a suit. Put on a suit if you got one. You want to come in Moorish garb, by all means, put on Moorish garb. But come and enjoy yourself and come and break bread with the family. Let's forget all this nonsense about what grand body you belong to. Come on out and have a good time. If you come, you come. If you don't, we'll tell you about it. We'll put some pictures up and we'll let you know how much fun we had, and then you can think about next time. So, 7th, 2017, Moorish Unity Ball in the Philadelphia territory. I'll put up all the details and links and flyers and all of that stuff later on. And always, when I speak to the family, when I speak to the people, peace and love in Islam. I love y'all. I'm out.
On the surface where serpents slither, curve out in perfect figures, flow like imperfect rivers. The beauty this earth delivers, true to the roots. Every movement is loose. I can feel every vibration, maneuver it fruits. It's the labor of love, did it straight from above like a dove, looking for fish in the sea. It's so proficient to me. The way you move is complimenting your past, your posterior. In other words, your ass and the mass that it carries, signifying fertility. Aesthetically, it boosts my energy. Before we called it twerking, the movement of your anatomy was working on the minds that were bond. That's how I became this person.
Rewind, rewind, play back, undress me with your mind. I feel you when you get closer. You see my mind.
Listen, the way she moving that body got the whole room's attention. I got plans for this goddess here, but first let me mention cocoa butter's her skin. Girl, I can give you that feeling, going deeper and deeper. We call it sexual healing, from the floor to the ceiling, from the window to the wall. She dancing like an enchantress, and I wanna slide up the drawers so I can love her for hours. Grab my arms, feel the power in the bed, in the shower, and her aroma is flowers. Yeah.
Rewind, rewind, play back, undress me with your mind. I feel you when you get closer. You see my mind.
Beauty beyond measure, joy beyond pleasure. Your body, nature's pearl. Every glimpse a treasure. Every inch is better. You dance the tongue of the soul. Every curve a letter. On the verge of an urge that could loose my tether. Get my stars aligned. Watch the portal open with a look in your eyes that could melt the frozen. And your health is spoken in the shape of your thighs. Got my mind frame scoping while I float in the raw atmosphere of your love. My view transfixed like Noah on the dove. With every step you take, every shoulder you shrug. Alive with the beat, got me hooked like a drug.
Rewind, rewind, play back, undress me with your mind. I feel you when you get closer. You see my mind.
She gon' keep it real till we all ghost. I'm about my bread so I never loaf. Gritting on the cheese and I grab my toast. The way you move, I swear you do the most. 365 stabbing chips like Pringles. The way you move, I'm wishing that I'm single. It's all good every time when we mingle. Twinkle, twinkle, you a little star. You the baddest girl that I've seen thus far. Pull up in the front, hop in the car. Now where we are, in my spot. Sitting in the clouds and we smoking on loud. And we ain't coming down. How you like me now? Spend a day with me, now you feel like moving out. Sorry, but I can't let you move in. I'm a young G and I'm still going in. Plus you ain't like no other woman. Girl, you special, you got me nothing like the devil. Looking like straight from heaven. With skin so soft like silk linen. I'm married to the streets, call it reverend. For divorcing, also call my blessings. I'm married to the streets, call it reverend. For divorcing,
Rewind, rewind, play back, undress me with your mind. I feel you closer, you'll see my mind.